Welcome everyone to our Black Reliquary developer Q&A. We're just going to be answering some questions from the community here. I'm joined today by Gibbed, Sasiji, Spurp, Snorlaxo, and Rhett.
Hello.
But yeah, I'm
Hello, everyone.
Seal. I'm the project lead for Black Reliquary. And yeah, why don't we just have everyone else go around and introduce themselves? So we'll start with Gibbed. Why don't you go first?
Hello. My name is Jib. I am working on the quote unquote mod tools that for Black Reliquary to make things that the devs want possible.
Nice. All right, Sauce.
I'm Sasiji. I work here as a and my job is usually making sure that that we can use the darkest dungeon limited properties to their maximum extent.
Yeah, he's kind of our engineer. Spurp.
Hello, my name is Purple. I am a longtime modder from the DD community, and also the original, audio presenter for Black Reliquary. Although obviously this wouldn't be possible without Steve's intervention to make this a full mod. I also occupy the position of lead artist and, design director, and sometimes writer to assist with the writing part of the game, if need be. And conceptual artist for items, monsters, environments, creatures, whichever thing you can look at it. It's probably had my involvement in it.
Nice. Rhett.
I am I haven't done sound design in a while, but I was one of the main sound designers. I handle the majority of the writing, and I talk to the community a lot.
Yeah, Rhett's our. We don't really have a lore Bible, but Rhett's like the closest thing we have to our lore Bible.
Mm-hmm. I guess I handle a lot of the social media stuff.
Yeah, you do handle a lot of the posts.
Yeah, the captain's Q&As, which I'm working on the rewrite. I've been busy.
Okay.
Yeah. Anyway.
And then Snore, and then I guess I'll introduce myself last.
Hello,
name's Snorlaxo, and I am the lead of the design team. And besides that, I sometimes do the code, and that's about it.
Yeah. And then I'm Seal. Like I said, I'm the project manager. We were talking about this earlier, but I basically go around and bug people to get stuff done. And yeah, I was one of the progenitors, I guess, of the project. Like the original project was Spurp's brainchild, but it largely exists today because I was interested in doing a really big project, and I talked to Spurp about like some possible ideas, and BR really stuck with me. So yeah.
Completely true. 100%.
And yeah,
that's sort of the archive of our first conversation.
Yeah, it is really wild to think about how big this project's gotten compared to like how we started it. But yeah, outside of that, I also just handle basically whatever needs to be done. So I do animation. I've done sound design in the past, although luckily I haven't had to do that again. And I do a lot of programming and like schedule coordination.
Hey, Alex is in the audience. Was Alex trying to get in?
No, I limited the Q&A to just the 6 of us here, just so we could get through questions faster. Okay. We could maybe get other people in depending on how many questions we have. Looks like we don't have that many right now, so.
Gotcha. Okay.
All right. I'm gonna start going through the questions then, and yeah, we'll just go down the list. So. Our first question is from Kilted, and he asks, who are the Libero Confederation exactly? Are they an independent state born out of the ruins of the Ostvanger Empire, or were they a minor power before the Ostvanger collapsed? So we got a lore question. So I guess Rhett and Spurp, I guess this one's for you.
Spurp, would you like to take the floor on that one, or?
Sure. I'll give you some context on the idea behind why it was made and such. The original Ostvanger, before the Eldritch tech was invented, which led them to the technological golden age, which they had, and led them to the downfall, has led some original Ostvanger who were before, prior to the Eldritch Tech inventions, kind of disgruntled, so they kind of became their own splinter faction, which eventually grew to become Libero, who are entirely anti-Eldritch Tech, and try to rely on still praising the light to maintain their purity, per se. I believe I also gave some context to Red to add on to that, so I'll give the microphone to him.
Right. So the Libero Confederation, Libero, however, they have been, ever since the fall, effectively the ones trying to quarantine to an extent what remains of the Ostvanger. Their entire city, I guess city-state, is a dam which has water flowing through it. It is a holy dam, so that is holy water. It is a gargantuan industrial producer of holy water that it dumps into the Ostvanger ruins to try and prevent it from spreading too far. So, and as for them, they actually do coordinate with the teams that go in and grab stuff out from the Ostvanger ruins. I'm trying to think of what game it was where you have like you get points for destroying something or points for, or like you can sell it. And they're the option where if you bring Ostvanger goodies to them, they'll just completely eradicate it and reward you for it. So, yeah, so scavengers who go into the ruins, the sort of mercenaries, you've got more than one interested party, and they are one of the big players.
Yeah, for context, I feel like we missed saying this earlier, but the Libero Confederation is like a country bordering Ostvanger. It's rather small. It's like Rhett mentioned it was like a city-state. But yeah, that's part of like the wider world lore. That's like the Libero Confederation stuff. I don't think it's really going to come into play in the Reliquary proper, but yeah, just a neat little bit of world building.
Yeah, they are a peripheral element.
Yeah.
I would say if we are to compare them to some sort of real life counterpart, it would be Vatican, but on a dam and filled with knights.
Yeah, Cryptics, thanks for posting the concept art.
Yeah.
And then yeah, John, this will be available on YouTube. I'll probably post it. I'm gonna have to probably edit it to make it a little smoother, but this will be.
Honestly, the entirety of the Libero actually came from that idea of the Pope, I guess, truck design.
The Pope Mobile.
You can see on the top left. I thought it was kind of just really cool colors to me. So I'm like, let's make them a thing. And so they were made. No heaven.
There you go.
Libero exists because of a single piece of a truck, which looks fancy.
I've now got in my head like a Christian TV version of Transformers where one of them is the Pope Mobile.
I think that might be an actual thing online. Like I feel like I've seen like a Transformer Pope Mobile thing.
I'm sure someone made that.
Yeah. So waiting for the Pope Mobile. Pavel did make a concept. Yeah, you might be waiting for a while. All right. Next question. This is from Anti, Kavarit's apologist. For mod tools, what are some of the basic things that will be possible? For example, are some effects easier to do or more stable? Example being S1 summons, or while I find unlikely, a S2 hero possibility. Also, what are your guys' favorite BR enemy to fight? Oh, guys snuck in an extra question there. Alright. I guess to answer the first part of that, we don't really know what the upper limits of the modding tool are going to be, modding tools. Like right now, I'd say some basic things that we're looking into are stuff like custom buff sources, and then being able to assign icons to those custom buff sources. So like you can have custom like tray icons for certain things. And then the other thing we're looking into is tooltip, just expanding tooltip limits, tooltip character limits. I don't think I can really comment on much else. There's a lot of stuff that might be possible, but I don't want to
No promises.
commit to it. Yeah.
Yeah.
What I would say is basically VR devs have a wish list, and I'm walking down it and attempting to do things with that. Maybe down the line there would be focused on exposing more of the internals of the game that the VR devs are not particularly interested in, but that's much down the line.
Yeah.
Size 2 hero, let's go!
What's going on?
It is a very long wish list, by the way.
Yeah.
It is, yes, it is. And I know
We are at the start of it, basically.
Yeah. I mean, we probably aren't going to like complete the whole wish list before we start working on 1.0, but like a lot of like the really high priority stuff is like bug fixes, crash fixes, and then like some of the stuff we were just talking about. All right, so that answers the first part of the question. The second part, or rather the second question, what is your favorite guys, or what is your guys' favorite BR enemy to fight? I guess we'll just go down the line. Jib, do you have any favorite BR enemies? I don't know if you really like have fully played through the mod yet.
I have not I haven't really played it in a non-dev way yet, so no, not really, not yet.
Okay, that's fine.
In other words, his favorite enemy is EXA file.
The exe file, it's very true.
Yeah, you could say that.
Sauce, what's your favorite BR enemy to fight?
My absolute favorite BR enemy is definitely Otek.
That's a very good answer.
Oh, that's a good one.
Spurp, who'd you say your favorite enemy is?
It's definitely a Levantine champion because I'm a huge fan of Marvin Sale. Like, he's the guy who got me into modding because I've been inspired by his mods. And this is the reason why, out of all custom classes, the one class which is referenced in Levantine, mirror matchup is the Thrall because he's one of my favorites of all time. So, champion right there.
Big punch. All right, Rhett.
I'm just going through my brain trying to go, what's like my favorite one? Or one that I'm like think is the most interesting? It's kind of, I don't know if I like this answer, but I kind of like the Appraiser just because of her move variety.
Interesting.
But I do love seeing the spikes on a disguised Otek, and I'm like, I see it. He's doing the thing.
Snore?
I think for me it would be the Kvarods with like the long hands.
The Gagal.
Oh, the Gagal.
Yeah.
Wow,
You
yeah.
guys suck. Who made those guys? Come on now.
Hey, I don't do names. I do numbers and words. The technical.
Fair enough.
Gagaldi's.
Oh my god. Yeah, I don't know what my favorite enemy is to fight. That's a hard question. I guess for me I'd probably say Ungoliant just because I like the way you upgrade his trinkets.
Banger soundtrack, too.
Yeah, good soundtrack, yeah. But
That's
for
a
me,
good
it's
answer.
For me, it's more like I like fighting him because of the reward, not necessarily because the fights.
You don't
super...
like fighting him, you like defeating him.
Yeah, exactly.
Actually, I'm gonna change my answer to Sand Charmer.
Oh, that's a good answer. Good answer.
It's only tentative because, like, Sand Charmer is another one of those fights a lot like the Ripperkin, where we hope it goes a certain way, but then the AI will sometimes just doof out and it becomes not very difficult. It's like,
If I could have a second runner-up, it would definitely be Ingolian because of the background update for the fighting scene was really good. Did a fantastic job.
Doing reconstruction on an ally with 100% HP.
yeah, exactly that.
If I had to choose my second one, it would be Levantine Janissary.
That's a good answer too.
Ooh.
That's a good answer.
Nice, I'm a good one.
Yeah, that's a tough one. Because again, that's another one of those fights where it's like, it is so swingy and how high quality the fight is. Sometimes it's you cough on him and get lucky and he falls over dead. Sometimes he just bullies you into the dirt. Still my favorite boss though.
I mean, I think it's just largely dependent on the team comp you bring, and then how lucky you are with like who he targets. You know.
Yeah.
And there's ways we mitigate that RNG.
I gotta say-
Unfortunately, it's not possible to have it be like a 100% perfect fight or ideal
Yeah.
fight every time.
And speaking of RNG manipulation, guys, you don't know how much we've actually tipped the RNG in your favor. Like, you really don't know.
And so did Red Hook while making the game.
Very true. All right. Moving on. Next question is from Agent, who asked, will the new mod tools add any new options for monster AI? E.g. enabling monsters to recognize different types of actor dots when selecting a skill, check for stealth, active riposts, etc. I mean, we kind of already answered this, but like, I don't think we can promise anything. I know there are some AI bugs I'd like to work out, and like, if it looks like adding that kind of functionality is like really easy, that might be something we consider, but it's hard to like promise anything at this point in development. I would say another thing we want to look at some point would be like custom statuses, right? Because for those of you who don't know, the way XP8 and Amberblight work, it's very much like a fake status. It's just a bunch of smoke and mirrors we have set up. Like, we just have a ton of different buffs, and then we're using actor dots to actually handle a lot of the reactionary effects.
Seal, would you like to explain what an actor dot is?
Sure, yeah. So an actor dot is a very niche thing implemented by Red Hook, niche mechanic. It's only used in the Countess fight in the base game, if I remember correctly, for like the little eggs that she has.
Correct.
They're extremely limited in how they've been implemented, but it's basically a way to have like a reactionary status, right? So it's like, you know, you can do something where it's like at the end of a turn, if this unit didn't attack or healed someone, you can apply an effect to that unit. And there's a lot more like layers to it than that, but that's the easiest way to explain it. But because of how limited it's set up, or because of how limited the implementation of it is, there's a lot of problems that you run into if you want to like do anything interesting with the actor dot at all, right? So like, for example, like we have some skills that do bonus damage versus specific actor dots. The way those are set up is every single skill that applies an actor dot actually applies a hidden plus damage received debuff for those specific skills. And we have an anti-stacking measure to make sure that those hidden debuffs don't stack. And then when the A dot gets removed, which I think that only really matters for XP8.
And leeching.
Well, yeah, it would apply for leeching, but we actually don't have any in-game effects that have like bonus
Versus
effects
leeching.
versus leeching or anything.
Oh, you're right.
If we did, then it would be set up the same way, yeah. Or actually, I don't even know if it's possible to do another one. But point is, it's very complicated, and it's not like that. That's as close as we can get to a new status, quote unquote, and it would be something we would like to adjust on the line. I don't know how easy that's going to be. I can't like promise it or anything with the mod tools, but that's just something we have been heavily considering.
Hey, for anybody who's looking to eke out a little extra damage, bonus versus XP8 and Amber Blighted doesn't add the same way that a normal buff bonus would.
Yeah. Because it's plus damage received
damage
and not
received.
plus damage on the unit itself. It's like a more multiplicative damage bonus instead of like an additive percent damage bonus, if that makes sense.
So this whole time, Antiquarian's just been using 1% of her power.
It's true. It's true. If you stack a bunch of damage on her, she'll get way more out of that damage received debuff.
Holy shit! Back when Amber Grinder was plus, like, what was it, 50%
Plus
damage?
something like that.
Oh my god, I missed that.
That was, to be fair, that was also before we added the plus damage received versus Amber Bladed on the stab.
Oh, you're right.
Yeah.
You're right. I thought we removed it because of that thing showing up.
Well, I think there was some overlap where we had both at the same time, and it turned out to be like way too strong. But
Yeah.
I don't know, man. We've been developing the mod for so long. I have a hard time remembering all the events.
It's been 4 years.
4 long years. Oh my god, and it's not even done. Alright, next question is by Zotlin. How will modding tools handle game versions at all? Will the tools be kept up to date with whatever Red Hook is doing, or will we be stuck with one specific game version if we wish to use these tools? That's a good question. So I guess the answer is it depends on whatever Red Hook is doing. So in order for us to, like, we're paying Gibbed to work on the mod tools, right? And it's not really feasible for us to continue supporting mod tool development after BR 1.0 is finished. Like, it's just not. Like, we're going to be closing down our Patreon because, the project is going to be done. And even outside of that, it's like we have to make supplementary payments outside of just what we get from the Patreon to have Gibbs work on this. So it's very expensive. It's very expensive.
Yeah, so if anyone's wondering why the patron money when we're, making a free mod and all that stuff, like, this is where that money goes.
Well, this and also, like, the
art.
My god, the art, the commissions. We have to dump so much money into commissions for both, like, art, sound, animation. Actually, I don't think we really have to dump money into animation. I usually just handle whatever needs to be done.
Yeah, because Seal does way too much work. Seal is also an animator.
Going back to the original question, though, the answer is that it just depends. Like, if Red Hook does, like, another update, like, 3 years from now, I can't promise that the mod tools will be updated for that. I know with, like, Rat Dungeon or, like, whatever else Red Hook's working on in the immediate future, like, we'll try and have that stuff implemented and sorted out on our version of the mod tools, so that way when the 1.0 comes out and our version of the mod tools comes out, it'll be the most up-to-date version then. But, like, I can't promise it'll be, like, something we continue looking into, continue supporting.
Hey, Seal, quick question. For the recording, are you also recording the chat?
I've been kind of going back and forth. Like, right now I'm just on the AMA questions screen, just because I'm reading off the questions. But I've been going back and forth a little bit.
Okay. We're letting people submit new questions in real time, right?
Yeah. If you guys have more questions, you can ask more. Yeah.
Yep.
Like, as long as you
in the questions channel.
Yeah, in the questions channel. Yeah, don't ask them. Yeah. Don't ask them in the stage. But yeah, as long as you have, we'll I think this event's probably going to go on for like a couple hours, and we'll answer whatever questions you guys have.
I set aside plenty of time.
Yeah, I did too.
I'm not going anywhere. I got broken legs.
That's true. He couldn't even go. He couldn't even leave if he wanted to. He's stuck here with us.
I can't even walk.
Can't get off the airship. Not handicap accessible.
Next question. Will more heroes from Ostvengar or other countries join us?
Not in the official roster.
Yeah, not in the official roster, no. We have one more official hero planned, and that is the Ascendant, which we've talked about a bit before. Outside of that, we're not looking at anything else.
Yeah, no more official heroes.
I would say, if you're interested in more heroes from Ostvengar, look into the Rampart made by Pavel, because he pretty much did the stellar job with that one. And that'd be your extent of how much Ostvengar will be available for roster. Fully endorsed by me, by the way.
Yeah, I mean,
Yo, what the?
I imagine there'll probably be more Osfinger, or well, more hero mod ports in general once 1.0 is sorted out.
Where's the soundboard option? I
course.
was gonna use a clap sound.
We don't have that here.
Cringe.
Hey man.
Be your own soundboard.
Yeah. Let's hear it. Yes. Perfect.
Sorry, that had to be close to the mic, otherwise it wouldn't have gotten picked up.
Okay, it's okay. Next question by Sylar. Reliquary will be separate missions like DD1, DD2, DD3, or single big mission? Snore, as our design lead, why don't you answer this one?
It will be separate missions. We've talked about what our plans were for them back in the other dev chat meeting thingy, public one. I'm not exactly sure how much I can talk about details that we're going over afterwards, but yeah, it will be a few quests following a quest line.
Alright, moving on. We got questions from the other channel that were reposted here. So, Flamingo asked, I'm not going to be able to attend, so I'll leave one question here. Is Yingo edible? Oh my god.
Well, how much do you like radiation sickness?
I mean, technically anything's edible if you just
Try hard enough.
try hard enough.
I'm not sure if we want to have the Amber eating questions too.
Yeah. Next Q&A, it's just a million is Ingolian edible questions. No.
It's like we do that, and if you ask a question about eating amber, your question is removed. You don't get to ask anymore, and you are subtracted one question from the next Q&A.
And you get sent for a month to the Amber recycling facility.
You go into the shadow realm.
Next question. So next question is by Gifter Spider 5. Are there any plans to rework or redo any current content in BR for the 1.0 update, or is the team satisfied with things put out so far?
So much of it has already been redone.
Yeah, a bit. I mean, I don't know. I wouldn't say there's like going to be any like huge like system reworks yet. I mean, I wouldn't put it off the table at the same time, but like
But a lot of the content has been refined. Like a
As
lot
our
of it
patch
has been
notes
changed.
show, we do iterate on the previous design and content while working on the new stuff.
Yeah.
Glue.
And moving on. K-Byte Von Byte asked, what did you learn from this experience? Anything you feel might be worth sharing with others wanting to make a similar project, or just modders in general? That's a very good question.
That is a great question.
I guess we'll just we'll go through and everyone can answer. But I kind of want to start just because I feel like I have a decent answer. I'd say like probably the biggest thing I've learned. How do I say this? It's good not to take things too seriously sometimes.
We're all goofy goobers, yeah.
I mean that's part of it, but it's like you have more fun when you're just making stuff that you enjoy, or making stuff that you're just like, I don't know, you're goofing around and you're having fun making it. I don't know if I'm making sense here, but it's like if you aren't super serious about the project, it's just easier to work on it, I guess. Like if you take every little bit of criticism seriously, or like every bit of feedback seriously, it's very draining, especially on a project of this size.
Especially if you're looking at Steam comments.
Yeah.
That'll test you.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's very true. But so yeah, I don't know. I guess just like don't it never hurts to have fun, Like even if it makes the project, a little goofier, I don't think there's anything wrong with that, But yeah, I'd say it's like the most important thing is like, I mean, obviously there's gonna be times where you need to be, a little more serious about what you're working on to get things done, but yeah, just you don't need to take everything super seriously.
Also, find help. You don't have to do everything yourself. If you can get help, get help. the BR core dev team is, what was it, like 22 people? 23?
I think it's 25, but like a lot of the developers, or a lot of the people we have on board have like really specialized roles, so they're
Mhm.
not really doing anything most of the time. If that makes sense.
Or constantly, rather.
Yeah. They're doing
Yeah.
stuff.
Like the artist.
But still, it's
Example.
like BR would take so many more years if it was the undertaking of, even if someone was really good at all of these different things that go into making this, it would take a very long time. So don't be like, if somebody expects to be paid, don't be surprised, but like it's good to have help on projects like this.
Yeah, I will say you do have to be careful though
Yeah.
about like if you have too many people in the project, you run into issues with communication.
Mhm.
So I guess it just depends on like how comfortable you are with. It depends on how comfortable you are with giving away creative control too. I think that's also part of it.
Yeah, you don't have to have a huge team, but like it's especially just good for morale when you have somebody you can check in with and, you know, keep you from being too isolated. Some people work better on their own, but it definitely helps for staying motivated when you've got friends work on it with you.
Yeah, that's very true.
I wonder what that's like.
To add to that, I also want to mention that I basically cranked out, even if I'm extremely fast at drawing, I cranked out most of Levantines, which you fight in the game, in about the span of a single month. But if I kept doing that for every single faction, I'll probably die. So if it wasn't for the rest of the art department, you'll probably take it forever to just get the factions done with a reasonable amount of time. So thanks to Zap, G, Moon, Pavel, Wellington, the rest of the team, they are making this possible. It's not just me making the artwork done.
Yeah, our team is fantastic.
Yes, indeed.
All right, moving on. I guess we'll just go down through everyone else. Sauce, why don't you start this one off? Question was, what did you learn from your time working on BR? Sauce, you good?
I think he's muted. Sorry.
No, it says he's making sound.
Yeah,
But
Sauce,
do
we
you
can't
hear
if you're
them?
talking. It says, yeah, I see the green
Yeah.
outline on Discord, but he ain't.
Oh,
I ain't hearing anything.
no.
Do
Still
you want
nothing.
They got
Sauce
him.
Birds finally attack the microphone? Well, he's
Still
getting that set up. Should we go to somebody else?
Yeah, we probably should. Sauce, we can't hear you, man. You might just need to fix your mic. Spirit, what have you learned from working on BR?
I would say clever asset reuse is one of those things you really gotta grind into your brain when you do these big projects which span a while and you don't really get paid for it. Stuff like icons, characters, art. Not everything has to be bespoke, I would say. It's fine with reusing assets there and here to make sure you can actually make realistic goals with your artwork. And, you know, at one point, Steel actually wanted to make sure that every single hero in BR would be unique to the expansion. I was like, no, we can't really do that. It's so much work we have to redo. So I was just we just basically make it an overhaul which contains all the heroes of the base vanilla game, plus some new ones we would make specifically for BR. Which is how we came up to. Yeah. Good.
I was gonna say that gives us a better track record than DD2.
Yeah. I mean, there's no reason why we should discard the heroes people liked. To me, anyway. If we want to make an expansion, then this is how we would do it, even if it's an overhaul. It's familiar and yet new because of all the extra quirks and items and such that the expansion added. Well, overhaul, I guess. I keep saying expansion. But yeah, I think overall the end result was satisfying to people, and nobody really complained. So I consider it a success. Yeah.
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 All right, Red, what have you learned?
It's very difficult to do this and a regular job at the same time if you have an inconsistent schedule. I found that one. Sauce, you're not muted. Your audio's just not coming through. It was like the green icon was popping up around your border. But, yeah, I had something I was going to say and it completely slipped me when I was focusing on Purple's response. Damn it.
Maybe we come back to
Oh, big one. For the love of God, keep your scope under control. Learn
that's
to
hard.
say no to a cool idea. There are a lot
that's
of
so
cool
hard to do.
ideas. Yeah, just and here's the thing, I've probably been a stick in the mud more than once for going, please, let's not do this. This sounds like a lot of work.
But rule of cool, everything must work under rule of cool. Very true, very true.
Yeah.
But then you also have to make sure you can get the work done.
Mm-hmm.
You have to finish before the universe explodes.
It's true, it's true.
I was going to say, some of the development has been kind of sporadic. Like, for example, Quarot's OTech only exists because it's a random idea suggested about copying the formulas from XCOM 2. And then we just ran with it.
Oh, be flexible. Jesus Christ, be flexible in your design and willing to change things. Don't commit to ideas too hard unless the whole game is literally founded on it.
To your question, Saham, yeah, XCOM 2 serves as inspiration for some of the design ideas for the enemies. Because XCOM 2 was a really good game, and I'm still waiting for XCOM 3.
Oh, looks like Sauce is still having some issues.
Try leaving and coming back.
Yeah, well, I think he just did.
Okay.
Snore, why don't you answer the question? Maybe Sauce can have sorted out.
Okay, so one thing I would say, don't take things for granted. For example, in this case, don't expect things to work and without testing them, because that has been a bit of an issue in many parts of the mod, where you would design something thinking that it will work and it doesn't. And then we have to change or adjust to make sure it does work. Yeah, it's never, don't do it should work, make sure it works first. I think the town events were very disappointing with how many things just don't work.
Also,
yeah, that was one big part.
Modfiles.txt is sapping my century. Remember when modfiles.txt was breaking
problems?
something?
Yeah. That was our very, very first initial release
very
of VR,
first
man.
build.
That's a throwback. That's so old.
Back in the workshop era.
Next question. Or well, Sauce, is your mic working? Speak to us. Give us a sign.
I think that means no.
I think that means no, unfortunately, yeah.
Pour one out.
Alright, well anyways. We'll move on. Sauce, if your mic comes back, maybe we'll come back to this question and you can answer it. Next question is from Stahlhelm. Does there exist a whole world map for BR? The whole globe? Spirit, why don't you answer this one?
I'm sorry, what was the question again? Didn't quite get it.
Yeah, is there a whole world in BR, like a whole globe?
Global map.
Is there a world map? Yeah.
It is entire Earth, essentially. Just, as you can see, it's kind of vaguely European inspired. It's kind of looks like a real world, but messed up in a way. No, that's the same way for the rest of the continents.
Planet.
Yeah, the planet is there. The Americas, the East Asian countries, all that stuff is there. They just a little bit mixed up with Eldritch, as you can see.
I will say...
From the little snippet...
Go on. Finish your thought and I'll...
I was going to say, from little snippets we showcased so far in the Captain AMAs and such, showcasing the Svarog Rus forests, and then you can see from certain European parts of Western nations, you can see that it's quite clearly inspired by Europe, but modified in certain parts.
Mm-hmm. But is the globe drawn anywhere? Is there an image of it?
It does not exist now, but it has some concepts what's happening in the rest of the world, though.
Okay.
In the very briefest of key points, which I'm not going to show because it's a big story spoiler.
Technically, there is a globe in the Gallian's background. It's just very small.
Yeah.
Yes.
And hidden behind the turn counter.
Yeah.
I think like
Yeah,
below it.
there is definitely like an extended universe
I
for
call it the
VR.
Spurpiverse.
Yeah, the Spurpiverse. Yeah, we've called it that. But I will say like outside of like a couple factions or areas, like basically none of it's. We have some ideas for what we
Yeah.
want these countries to be, and I know we've had some like lore posts in the past that just talk about that kind of stuff, like for Patreon. But yeah, a lot of it's just not fully fleshed out. We just have general ideas. All right, next up, this one's from Manaplay, is the BR art book that Spurt named in chat's true. Not a joke, and will really be released when BR is done. Maybe. We've talked a lot about doing an art book. We definitely have enough content to make one. It's just the question of like, do we think enough people would be able to? Would enough people be interested in purchasing one to warrant going out of our way to create one? And then outside of
Well-
that, it's like I think it's also a matter of like, I don't know. You run into a problem right now, like the posters right now. So like we only sell posters in the States, and that's largely just because shipping is expensive, and personally I'm not happy with a lot of the quality that a lot of like print on demand stuff has. So I don't know. There's like we technically could sell posters like outside of the States, but it would be at either a quality I'm unhappy with or a like really high price where it's like you're paying as much for shipping as you are for like the actual product, which is I think that's also just not acceptable. Yeah,
Maybe more.
But yeah, I guess the answer is just it depends. It depends. Like I'd probably have to. I mean, I might have to like reach out to like a publisher or something. Maybe not like. I don't know. I'm not exactly sure what even goes into making an art book too. So I'd have to do like research and stuff. Maybe I guess the answer to answer your question, maybe it's hard to say for sure.
Well, one
Plus, we still get a lot of assets to complete.
Yeah, it's true too. Yeah, if
One
if
thing
we
we-
do make one, it'll be after BR is done for sure.
Yeah. One thing we could do to justify our art book is to put critical rules in it.
Is it put what?
Is to put the rules in the art book, and that's the only way to get the rules. People in the audience will know what the fuck I'm talking about.
Okay.
Good for people in audience.
Oh my, he's here. We can hear him.
He's alive.
Hey!
He's back.
I
Welcome back,
literally
folks.
had to install Discord on my school laptop and use my phone as remote
why.
Wi-Fi.
Oh my god. Well, now that you're here, why don't you answer the question of what did you learn from working on BR?
Two things. First, money topics sucks. They create a lot of tension. Second, if you are very, very, very good at a very specific niche, it is absolutely great because you became almost irreplaceable part of machine. But you have to be stupidly good at it. In my case, it is DD coding and other shenanigans.
Did he code
So
on MC?
Yeah.
Well and
Oh.
truly, so much of BR would not be possible without specifically CCG.
Yeah, he's responsible for a lot of our reworks that we have.
The
Yeah,
under
he-
the hood stuff.
Yeah, he sees through the matrix. You got a problem with the code, ask the sauce.
Well, technically, I started this stuff before joining BR, so
Mhm. Yeah, Sauce is
Almost
well
said-
known to be one of like the most technically savvy modders in the scene.
Good stuff. Good stuff.
technically still,
Sauce, you made the green dots, right?
yes.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, Sauce is somebody who found out that there's a way to exploit the character limit in tooltips to make it wrap around, and like that's no one. I cannot imagine anyone else thinking, let me just spam as many characters in here as possible to make something work.
Original idea maker was a nightmare, but nobody knew why, what happens, why sometimes exclamation mark happens, why sometimes cross happens, and I figured it out. Yay,
Yeah.
yay. Also, size 0 enemies, also entirety swap sources, source and targets, AXA. I am from the very beginning, I have it in everything, so yay.
He's also got a very big hat.
It's true. It's
I
very true.
have the biggest hat ever. I love this hat. Purple, thank you so much for this avatar. This character with big hat is my favorite thing ever.
And I look hot.
But yeah, no, Sauce does some really,
Unlike in
really impressive.
unlike in real life, Rift.
Very true.
Oh,
Damn, it just
Got
got real.
me.
Just got real in here.
No need to be so honest.
God, I didn't know we had a burn status.
All right. But yeah, Sauce handles a lot of our backend stuff. It's really, really crazy how much of like modern BR wouldn't exist without him. So definitely give him a hand in the chat if you haven't already. And yeah,
Clap, clap.
moving on. Next question is from Caps. Favorite secret dev item? I'm not exactly sure what you mean by secret dev item.
Probably stuff like crew trinkets or reading comprehension.
Reading comprehension.
Anything else that we
Comprehension.
tucked away.
Spurp, do you have any
Breakfast
favorite
is funny, but I don't know if that's a dev item.
breakfast? I mean, it's not really a dev item, but I do
It's
like
something
breakfast
that
too.
maybe one player has seen organically, and the rest has just been you only see it if you're using dev or like add all trinkets.
Yeah. I know. Well, I know at least one of our testers has gotten it naturally just by farming out every single possible trinket.
Who was it?
that's an achievement and a half.
I think it was. But yeah, I don't know if I have an answer for that. We don't really have a whole lot of like the closest thing we have to secret dev items are reading comprehension and the breakfast stuff. I'd say, unless you count the crew trinkets, but I'm not counting those.
We do have the soup hand trinket, which is like that was a fun night. I'm glad that we had movie night. I hope we do it again sometime.
We'll do another one
For
at some point.
those-
We'll do a movie night.
Yeah,
I've been wanting to watch Tremors for a while.
entirety. Yeah, the cauldron in its entirety in EI is a collection of references.
The virile brew.
Yeah.
The virile brew,
Mmm,
the
so
pistachio
virile.
and soup.
Yeah, but
I'll never forget pistachio and orgy hand soup. That's gonna be in the middle of my brain for the rest of my life. I'm gonna die and go, I'll never have tasted the pistachio and orgy hand soup.
Mm,
yeah, I mean that's
mm-mm.
that's not really a secret dev item. That's more just like an inside joke.
It makes sense if you watch Conan. I'm gonna say that.
Yeah. It's a Conan reference mostly. Yeah.
The original Conan movie.
Spirit, what would you say your favorite secret developer item is?
Well, I can't really talk about it. How can it be secret if I talk about it?
Okay.
Well,
If
it
it's,
just doesn't
it's
work.
something we're working on, then yeah. Okay, maybe don't. His favorite secret dev item is something we're still working on, so we can't talk about it.
Yes.
It's very
It's too
cool.
secret.
Sauce, what's your favorite secret dev item?
Mine is definitely reading comprehension, mainly because when it was meeting, I was told to you guys that you know what be funny? Trinket with a lot of buff has no trinkets, and every one of you laughed.
It's because it's a funny idea.
Yes.
Snore, what's your favorite secret dev item?
Hmm. It's hard to say because there isn't that many of them.
Yeah. We put a lot of Easter eggs in, but not as many like functional things.
Next question is from Sorting Helmet. I got a general idea of what mod tools are, but are they basically streamlining making mods or mucking around with the client? 64-bit perhaps. DD modding, to my understanding, has been pretty limited to a point, so the idea of tools is curious to me. I'd say, in general, they're about... I don't know. I'd say it's more streamlining making mods and just like expanding like a mod
Giving more
maker's
possibility.
toolkit.
And also fixing issues.
And fixing issues, yeah.
It is shocking how many bugs there are in base DD modding tools. Like, in a way, like custom descriptions is a bug, and then like actor dots. It's shocking that actually works though. Like that feels like something that you shouldn't be able to make function for anything but the Countess fight, but it's just barely open-ended enough that you can work it into other functions.
So I'd say, yeah, that's mostly what the mod tools are. There's going to be some like limited Lua scripting for creating new stuff, but that's not really going to be, I don't know, it's not really going to be like super comprehensive. Like, I don't know, like, I don't want to say it's like these new modding tools are not going to like bust DD open or whatever and let you do like anything you want. Like it's not going to be that crazy open ended or anything. It's just you're going to have a little more tools when making mods. That's kind of just how we've been approaching it. But yeah, Jib, why don't you talk a little bit about? I guess this would be a good opportunity. So maybe we could talk a little bit about how we'll release the mod tools because I think that might be maybe good to go over here.
Well, the idea for releasing would just be when that comes, like time to do that release, it will be its own like little package, basically with the expectation that the BR specific stuff is turned off, basically. So it'll be its own thing, like executable and all that.
All right. Next question.
Well, one second, sorry. The 64-bit stuff is definitely in and working. So.
Yeah, we definitely plan to have 64-bit on Windows. Have that working.
Yep.
We also we mentioned this, I think, in our most recent Captain's Log, but we also do plan to have a proper Linux and Mac OS port. So BR will be available on all those platforms, like properly available. I know right now we have like Linux support, but it's kind of bad. Like to be honest, I don't even know if it's fully functional. So
I think the add-ons menu isn't exactly working that well.
Yeah, it's definitely
That's like the base
problems.
game thing.
So, but anyways, we plan to have like proper parts for that and proper support for those operating systems. But yeah, next question is from Knave of Chalices. I would love to know what were some specific inspirations for the different areas in BR, the different factions. I mean, like the Cactinids and Troglodytes and Kavarids, etc. Is there specific work for each, like how Vril's name is derived from the coming race, or a concept/real-world counterpart? I think this is probably...
Spoilers, the Levantine is based on the Levant.
Very true.
Shocking.
Yeah, Spirit, maybe you could talk a little bit about this, because I think this is probably up your alley with like visual design.
Sure. I guess all the factions are something I would want to see in base DD1, but I thought was kind of missing, in my opinion. For example, I always thought there could be more human enemy factions, which is what they are making up the majority of actually BR factions. If you notice, there's the Levantine, the Wildlanders, the Lost Legion. They make up the bulk of the enemies you fight, at least half of all the factions. Then there's obviously the Ghouls, the Cactinids, the Trogs and such. But even Trogs are kind of human derivative in a sense.
And Cactinids
Since basically, yeah, kind of, in a sense.
They do their best.
Yeah. And they kind of mirror, in a sense, the factions from base DD1, but kind of in their own twist, I guess I would say. Like with Levantine, they're kind of like the bone skeleton enemies you meet in the first one. They're kind of basic, but kind of not, because they're bringing out their own set of gimmicks, which is they mirror your party. In a sense, they kind of feel like you're fighting an enemy player in a butcher circus, but not, with their own extra bits and bobs to make it more interesting. Or the fact that their wildlanders are basically just like the entire tribe of just Hellions. Because when you fought Wolf in the base game, I thought it was kind of cool. He was like this barbarian wolf guy, and you don't really meet anyone else besides him and Hellion in the base game. And you can also see a bunch of barbarians in the Hellion's backstory comic as well. So that's why the Wildlanders exist, because I wanted to introduce that sort of faction to the game, because it's a fun angle to explore for that one. And obviously, in the Crusader comic, you can see this huge army of soldiers marching through and fighting what seems to be like this Middle Eastern kind of like Jerusalem-style place. So I thought the same reason, like maybe we should introduce Crusaders and Ottomans, or like Byzantine-inspired soldiers, which is why we have Lost Legion and Levantines.
Also, sorry.
Yeah. No, go ahead.
BR was originally planned to be or at least, one of the early concepts was just a single region like Sunward Isles, and it would have actually included like the full roster of hero mirrors. But obviously that expanded to be what BR is today.
Yeah, honestly, in the beginning, I actually thought it was going to be just a single area with just the base Levantines and nobody else. That's it. That was the original BR. Before I kind of thought about, maybe we can look at the other monsters from a Conan mythos and see what they can dredge up. Just interesting and not really used in DD, so you can introduce it. Because, like I said, in some other earlier discussions about this, is that H.P. Lovecraft was a big time pen pal of Robert E. Howard, creator of Conan. So it kind of made sense if we make a spiritual like spin-off or an overhaul or something like in a sense, but we would borrow from something else, which is similar, but not quite the same, but enough similarity. And for that reason, we have all these elements from Conan put into VR as inspiration. For example, troglodytes is one of those things constantly fights these cavemen-like monsters from Sword and Sorcery, and the sandworms, obviously, because it's in a desert. And there's obviously the Quaros, which are the machines of a long-forgotten destroyed empire. And Cactuans, obviously, is this hostile super fauna flora mixture.
Yep.
And a lot of the actual bosses in the game are sort of like contemporary mirrors to DD1 as well. For example, the Elrond is very clearly referenced to the Sunken Crew, which is one of my favorite bosses for the base game.
And you are the only person to ever say that.
Yeah.
Yeah. What can I say? I like that boss fight. I thought it was really cool. I thought the this merge of design-wise, okay, it was a little bit frustrating to fight against, yes.
Yeah.
But visual-wise, I think it was a very impressive piece of art.
Yes, it is.
Art brain.
Yeah, it is very cool, and how each one of the members has a different action per turn. It's just that it's one of the most consistent boss fights because it's really drawn out.
Yeah, it is very drawn out. I would say we kind of succeeded with Elrond what the Sunken Crew has kind of failed to do, essentially.
Yeah.
Which is made streamlined a little bit more. Mm-hmm. And then obviously there's these big set-piece fights, like the gigantic worm, the greater worm, which is also another one of those. I like set-piece fights. They're not exactly complex or difficult to fight. They're just fun little vignettes for players to enjoy, which to me is important. Have at least one of them,
Yeah.
It's not a huge sin to have one of those. I think every single game which exists is out there. Yeah.
We had a lot of plans a lot of concepts for fighting that gargantuan Frauds golem that you see on the world map that's just lumbering around the exposed interior. At the end of the day, anything we could come up with was that's gonna be a shit ton of work. There were some ideas for you fight its head and then it falls over and then you go inside of it and fight it from the inside and like a multi-stage fight. No.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I would say
to take on.
Yeah, I would say the hardest designs were actually the ones which would be our wandering bosses, or the bosses you kind of run into, like the Ungoliant and Sand, because it's really hard to top the ones you find in base game and make them feel like they're as rewarding and good looking as the collector and the channel, because they're so iconic to the game. So that was a big challenge, honestly. So I had to spend quite a while like ruminating on what would be a fitting replacement for BR.
Yeah.
The Ungoliant was actually entirely. Yeah. Marvin was the one who designed Sand Charmer, not me actually. I just polished it to the final state.
Flayed.
And I did like.
Yeah. Marvin did do Flame.
Yeah, true. Flayed and Sand Charmer, both Marvin's designs, yeah. Ungoliant is mine. You may actually find. What?
Alron as well was the.
No, Alron was mine.
Well,
The original
Marvin
concept,
did-
but the final design was
Yeah,
Marvin.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say Ungoliant, you can actually spot elements of Ungoliant's design if you watch the Amazing Screw and Head pilot on YouTube, because that's where the original feel of Ungoliant came from. There's a huge monster in the end, summoned from a turnip. And yeah. And I thought about it, like what would be a creature which you can find fighting in space? Because the original idea for Ungoliant was, it's a reference to the Moon Beast from H.P. Lovecraft's story. And what can live in the moon? And I thought, maybe like a space suit creature. So that's where it came from. Like you can see in Ungoliant's colors, he's like white, red, blue, and some color of gold, which is basically the palette of a modern day spacesuits they use for the outer atmosphere lights and such. Yeah. So that's how Ungoliant came to be. And in the end, I think it was a pretty solid design, which felt like a good stand-in for Shambler, who is also very iconic, very good design, and kind of hard to. I think we made something decent with what we've done. Same with Sand Charmer and Flayed, obviously.
Yeah, fun fact, Flame was originally meant to be a collector concept.
Yeah, like it was one of the concepts for the collector replacements.
Yeah.
The three that Marvin sent in were Flayed, the Sand Charmer, and if one of the vending golems came to life and was trying to like restock its supply, which
With you.
I think that the encased hero designs were really cool, but because that's a very region-specific enemy, I believe we went with the Sand Charmer because it felt more like it could appear anywhere, and also, hot take, the coolest of all the design. It's so cool. Yeah,
it's a pretty dang cool design.
It is pretty nice.
I guess while Sand Charmer themselves, the base design is entirely Marvin's. The creatures he summons, which is the Bounty Hunter, the Cultist, and the
Shieldbreaker.
It was Shieldbreaker, yes, sorry, forgetting. Were kind of designed by committee of input from the rest of the team. So the fun parts you see in the designs of those actually came from the rest of the team suggesting, like, for example, originally, Occultist did not hold his own skull. It was, I think it was Red.
Yeah!
Yeah, it was, yeah.
Yeah, it was a collaborative effort.
And the axe of the bounty hunter.
Yeah, the huge.
Yeah, it was really funny because I had notes written down for the designs like, listen, this guy has a really, really big attack. Okay, this means just a big axe, right? And then just said draw the massive glass axe with his attack, for his collective attack.
Yeah.
And my idea came also for the Sand Charmer, Shieldbreaker. We have reform her own broken arm into a glass arm, kind of like repairing her own body from the Sand Charmer's abilities. That was my idea.
Oh,
Yeah.
Somebody put the vending golem concept in the chat. I love those summon designs. I super love those.
Yeah, maybe we can get them someday.
Yeah. Let's not make any promises on that.
If anyone wants to in the chat to make them free to use this.
Yeah.
That's an
You
idea.
can take that and run with it. We are almost assuredly not gonna.
Yeah, probably. Most definitely not, actually, no.
Yeah.
Moving on. I think we spent enough time on this question.
True.
Yeah, sorry.
No, you're good. Next up is Iron Lord. Are we seeing any future updates for BR like Crimson Court?
No.
Yeah, no,
No.
nothing planned at this time. I think it's really unlikely. I think almost everyone on the team is like pretty tired at this
We're
point.
good to move on.
Yeah.
It doesn't help that besides artists, getting commissions, we are not making money on this. Like the people who get commissions, that's not for them to profit, that's for them to sustain themselves while they give very generous amounts of art for what we can afford to give them. So, because like all my sound design was free, my writing's free. Obviously, I don't get paid to interact with the community, so a lot of it is donated time from quite a few members, and I think that at this point in time, we would kind of like to be paid for our work.
I mean, yeah, the model that BR has, or I guess the model that most like large community projects like this have, is like really unsustainable for long-term work. To put it lightly. So yeah, I think once we're done with 1.0, like we'll probably do some, balance patches, bug fix patches, but like I wouldn't count on anything else. At least not right now.
Obviously stuff sorry.
I can only disclose how much money I spent helping funnel the project into the project's like finances.
God.
Yes.
But it's a lot.
Yeah, it's a lot.
It's actually like not just my time, but also the money into the project to make sure people can continue working on it.
So
yeah,
you can actually thank Cloud Meadow for helping fund VR.
Yeah, to an extent.
Okay.
This game was sponsored by.
This game is sponsored by Cloud Meadow. Go buy it right now. Let's keep the lights on.
Yeah, I'll lock the door.
Both myself and Spurp have spent an ungodly amount of money. Spurp especially, like he might be in 5 digits spending in the mod.
At this point, yeah.
But yeah. It's very modding like this on this scale without getting paid is not sustainable. That's basically the long and short of it.
Yeah, you can only get so much in the way of donated time and effort.
Yeah, exactly.
And like
all that stuff is
even Christian has been so fucking generous with the amount of work that he's donated to the cause. And buy the soundtrack, proceeds go to him. The Estonian economy is in shambles.
Well, so did Skrull, because he did all the voice work for free.
I mean,
yeah, Skrull as well.
I think almost everyone involved in the project has been very generous at one point or another. I think it's very fair to say that.
Yeah, fair enough.
But yeah, it is really impressive how much goodwill I think people are willing to give towards the mod. So big thank you to all the developers. It's very very cool stuff.
You're welcome.
And hey, experience on BR got me my new job. And Snore, that helped, or not Cryptics, that helped for you as well. Yeah. It's
It's a very good portfolio piece for sure.
Working on BR gave me Deep Rock Galactic and didn't help in my job at all or schooling.
It's true.
Working on VR gave me depression.
Oh, that's unfortunate.
Let's not talk about the depression because it is close to home topic, so please no.
Also, obviously the world has gone through quite a fucking bit since we started.
Yeah, that's true too. It does feel like, oh my god, it's like everything conspires against the project sometimes, it feels like.
Can't the next time just be boring?
Sometimes
Yeah.
our decision conspires against us, like having Flagellant, Shieldbreaker and so on made us harder to make VR on Steam.
To be fair, that was something we decided on before we even knew we were going to do a Steam project, but All right, next question from Lovecraft Gaming. What are your plans after 1.0 is done? Will a lot of you keep doing mods for DD, or some of you move on to other things? It's a good question. I guess we'll just go down the list again. Spurp, what are you doing after 1.0 is done?
I intend to continue modding within whatever capacity I can, honestly. I'll probably assist artists if they want, because for the past couple of years, people have came to me asking if they can like realize my concepts, and I sort of assist and sort of don't whenever I can, So I'm probably gonna keep doing that, existing within the community. And of course, I will continue working on other projects which I cannot name right now.
Sauce, what about you? What are you doing after BR is done?
After years of sickness, which corresponded with me being in BR, no correlation, I am back at university, so I have a little bit of time, couple of years of learning for my favorite subject, which is chemistry, biology, math, and so on. So I am doing good, and in 5 years maybe I will work in some laboratory. Coding-wise, learning how to use computer for work, it moved to be plan B. It was very good to keep your mind in place, and I would love to continue that, but I think I would love to be a real-time scientist one day. A little bit more.
How goes the winemaking?
My winemaking is very, very good. At the moment, I have about 150 liters of wine in my home.
Holy shit!
Wow.
Are you like selling it, or is it just for
For personal consumption.
for personal consumption? Man.
I share it with my friends and family, and and some kind of batches are not really feasible for personal consumption, so they go to the cooking process. I'm very good cook.
Let them cook.
Let me cook. But head over to Sausage's home one day. Christian Thomas Harris will visit me sometime soon, so VR connects people around the world. If you have possibility to join some kind of project like that for fun, I recommend. It is something that you that people don't do every day. Even if it doesn't benefit you that much, it is always something you can talk about with people because it's fun. Bzim bzim, my phone is ringing.
You should put craft wine BR edition on the store as a possible merchandise you can buy.
In all absolute honesty, I wanna be scientist revolving around yeast and winemaking. So, for sake of honoring you guys, I can make BR wine someday.
Oh my god!
You'll start
and it will be something purple, definitely, because of the name.
Make your company called the Tempting Goblet.
That's I feel like I might run into trademark issues.
The Virile Brew, yes.
The Virile Brew. That's me. Virile Wine Company.
Perfect.
Fantastic.
All right, Rhett, what are you doing after 1.0 is done?
I will be ashes in an urn before I give up on the final math boss and the Milkmaid Taskmaster boss, but that'll probably be my send-off for BR modding, or for DD modding, unless I, for some reason, just get the sudden craving to return to it. But part of the reason why I haven't done those yet is, aside from just, like, desire issues, it's money. Mods are expensive. Even with me getting like a bestest best friend discount from Moon, that it's expensive, and I might be able to do that in the nearer future because now I have a second job. Because without this new job, I was like, I don't know how the fuck I'm gonna make the next 3 months of rent because the real estate market has slowed down. I will hopefully be okay with my new job as a writer.
Snore. What are you doing after BR 1.0 is done?
I mean, hopefully by that time I find some decent job, so I can fund more stuff that I actually enjoy. But even besides that, I am like constantly outside of BR working on mods, releasing them, have a bunch in works and also planned. So yeah, not even before the 1.0, I'm still gonna be releasing stuff.
Nice.
After that, I don't know. Depends on how quickly I'll be done with the things that I have planned.
Jib, you and I have some plans after 1.0 is done, but I guess just
Ooh.
outside of that, like what are you trying to do once the modding tools are all done? What are you looking at doing?
I mean, I will probably continue doing what I usually do, and that touching any game I'm remotely interested in.
Nice.
Modding wise, that is.
Yeah. And then I guess for my answer for the question is probably just I really want to make a game. So that's probably what I'm going to do after BR is done. I have some ideas, but yeah, I think I talked about it a little bit before, but I would like to try and make like a roguelike or like a DD clone or something. I don't know. I don't exactly know like what just yet, but I have some ideas. And I've been working with Jibbed a little bit and some other
He is cooking.
yeah, some other BR devs to like we've been looking at some ideas. I'll put it that way.
I have also been like looking into game dev, but like I will say short-term immediacy is I am looking at getting a commercials driver's license so I can immigrate to Germany.
I mean, even outside of that, like the right now the games industry it's kind of hard to like it's not a really good time to get into the industry.
It's never a good time
It's
to get
never
into
it's
the game.
never that's kind of true, but I feel like now especially like it's tightened up a lot more. You're seeing a lot more companies
Yeah.
with like layoffs and whatnot from unsustainable growth and whatnot.
It's not a good time to be a large team, but small teams that are flexible and can operate lean, you're gonna be doing okay enough. But there is now more competition in that.
Next question. This is from Is That Kess? Congratulations on all the work you guys have done thus far. What tools and resources did the team use for scheduling and other planning to make sure you guys are always on the same page? And yeah, Gib kind of already answered this one. It's I pretty much handle all the scheduling, and I usually bother people and remind them constantly when we have meetings and whatnot. We pretty much only use Discord for like meetings and whatnot, which kind of sucks for scheduling and whatnot. Like I imagine there's probably some bots or whatever that can handle scheduling, but I've never looked into any of those. Like I've used some other stuff. Like back when I was working with Half Brick, we used Teams, and Teams has like really good scheduling abilities. Like you can do some really cool stuff with like the calendar, but Discord doesn't have that. So a lot of it's just kind of me bugging people and seeing when they're available and all that stuff.
Also, we use Google Sheets to organize a lot of information.
Oh yeah, documentation. Yeah. Well, our documentation's pretty bad.
It depends.
It depends. That's true. It does depend. We have like a lot of sheets for like heroes. What is it? Heroes, quirks, trinkets. We had one for items, although I'm pretty sure it's out of date. But like some of the more complicated stuff, like enemies in particular and curios, we don't really have documentation for that. So a lot of times what we'll do.
We have curio sheet, though it hasn't been updated since Cavern.
Okay, so yeah, it's pretty bad. But like a lot of times when it's like we're talking about that kind of stuff, a lot of what we do is we just check the source directly. Like it's like when we need to know a value on a monster, you just open up the monster's info file and check it there. And that's worked well enough. I won't lie, documentation
Not
not my strong suit.
Definitely not everything is documented. For example, any information about Site Zero enemies are all over the place because I made all of them. Sometimes learning stuffs along the way. So if anyone is concerned how the OGs mode that used the most amount of Site Zero started and how they are used, they are a complete mess.
Yeah.
But
No, it's really the backend for BR is really, really complicated. So that's really
like
hard
to
to
call-
have documentation for that in some cases.
I like to call BR the greatest smoke and mirrors trick in modding.
So many workarounds.
we really complain about Red Hook making game with duct tape and glue, but we are not better.
Well, I don't know. Red Hook.
Well, little-
We had the choice.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't think Red Hook was really planning on DD modding being as big as it is, though, so they get a bit of a pass.
Yeah. And even if they were, they wouldn't be planning on whatever the fuck we're doing.
Very true. Very true. We're definitely putting the game like we're taking it to its limits. All right. Next question is from John Rook. Black Reliquary is a monumental project from the perspective of scope, large enough to breathe novelty in the game and curiosity in the world imagined. Having in mind that your goal is 1.0 release with long-heralded modding support, which feels further like its own game. So the question is, how do you feel about your content in relation with Darkest Dungeon as it is and the intellectual property? Any hopes for a standalone setting with a project that could be directly monetized by purchases as opposed to Patreon and merch? So for BR as it currently exists, no, definitely not. We're using a lot of systems from Darkest Dungeon, and we're using a lot of characters, like copyrighted characters from Darkest Dungeon. So I'd say as like a standalone project, no. I know we've looked at doing other projects outside of BR that take place in kind of like, the same universe. And I'd say that's definitely
The
more...
BR-verse.
Yeah, that's definitely more feasible, right? Like that's definitely something we could... That's something we could probably do. It's just we have to be careful to separate ourselves from Darkest Dungeon,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's a lot of potential out there in the Spurpiverse for all manner of interesting stories to be told and games to play and all that good stuff. So
Yeah, there's a lot of angles, a lot of settings. All right, next question is from Sorting Helmet. What was the hardest boss to implement in BR? Any of which posed to be a nightmare balance and design-wise? Oh, man.
Yes.
Hmm.
Oh, man. I mean...
I think Janissary
I-
we've spent the most time rebalancing because we keep having to go back to him. But I wouldn't say it was like the hardest.
I mean, it didn't have any like significant changes, I would say.
Yeah, it was all just lots of fine tuning over a long stretch of time. But
Yeah.
um,
I know Warhawk went through a lot of the earliest bosses actually just went through a lot of design iterations.
yeah,
Good
Warhawk got
mother was
completely
also
overhauled.
annoying.
So that's what you say?
Good mother was also annoying. Any boss related to crashes were nightmare.
Yeah,
Mhm.
there's no proper crash log, yeah.
Early days of Alarun were funny when double stealing heroes, when you could kill the flower, the scissors and flower holding ones. Yeah.
Yeah, there's some
And just
those-
fucking crash.
Cause yeah, it's they worked like the Cauldron at first where they could be damaged and would release a hero, but if they are killed via an effect like Musketeer's smoke screen or a trinket or something, they just vanish and the hero dies with them. So that's why that
No,
got
it's
changed
more like
shortly
they
after it got
crash.
released. Oh, was it a
Rather
crash?
than
I think it was a crash, yeah.
Oh, it was a crash.
Yeah.
Crash.
It was
There's-
the crash.
there's all
Don't
sorts
forget
of-
about Blade and Light.
The crash of 87.
Yeah, there's all sorts of problems. Like if they were vulnerable to dots, that would also cause problems too. Like it's basically
Yeah,
if they
that's
die to
when the
anything that's
hero
not like a
doesn't-
direct damage from an attack, it causes problems. And that's
Mm.
yeah.
And we cannot make attacks that have 0%. No, well, we can, but right now we know how. But We used to not know that we could make attacks that cannot hit for sure at ever.
Hmm.
Something.
Because
It
of
was
three,
annoying.
three different hidden accuracy bonuses that Red took
Yeah.
in the game. And also on the topic of problematic bosses, the Sandworm
What's up, Snore?
with the Sandworm with its tongue.
Oh, the tongue. Yeah,
Annoying.
I mean that was logistically pretty tough. Getting like the animations to line up for that was annoying, but that wasn't. I don't know if that was like technically difficult, but we did go through. I mean, we have gone
Mongolian
through
background.
explorations on the worm.
Oh, I wasn't here for this one, but how hard was it set up? What was it to get the core working the way that we wanted?
That one wasn't that bad actually.
It wasn't hard.
Like yeah,
The
core.
hardest
Core
part
and...
was
Oh, go on, Sus. I'll finish my thought after.
the hardest part was probably making the HP to look good.
Yeah.
But other than that, it was easy.
Yeah.
Having possibility to have different colored HP bar is very handy.
Very true.
Mm-hmm.
Good
Yeah.
for Red Hook that they didn't hard-coded it.
So I guess do we give it to the Alrauna?
Well, she kind of already has one in terms of like different colored.
No. I mean like it as in like which one was the hardest to work on?
Oh, I guess it depends. Like I think implementation wise, like mechanics wise, I'd probably say Alraune, and then for design, I'd probably say either Janissary or Warhawk.
I think Warhawk changed more significantly.
Yeah. Yeah, Janissary's core concept remained true to it up to its current version. It just need a lot of number tweaks over time. Warhawk need to get completely overhauled.
Yeah,
Her fight was crap. It was really bad.
Yeah, in terms of like bosses we've probably looked at the least, I'd say Enchantress and Core. Enchantress, I think we haven't really messed with her too much. Like I think the most we've done is we changed her summon with the snakes to be less random.
Yeah, like the guard one.
Yeah, the
not
guard
be
one is
spammable.
like yeah.
Yeah.
And
She
we
doesn't
had
really-
some
I'm sorry.
issues with like her move, like Mark and then.
Oh, that yeah. When you stun her, yeah.
But that's
I mean that's
fine,
already been fixed, but yeah.
Yeah.
Because mechanic-wise, she's probably the least interesting of all of them. It's just she's just a really fucking hard fight. You know, at least on paper.
I think Ghoul Mother had also crash issues at some point.
Oh.
We probably had some with
How
like
about
dealing
Gianni?
I think we had some crash issues with Ghoul Mother when it came to like that was back when we were like trying to implement something where it's like if she ran away you wouldn't get any loot or something like that. Which I don't think
Yeah,
is the
we
case
had
anymore.
problems with the visuals because some aspects worked, but give you the ugly ghost mother that have different animation and sound, and we couldn't remove it, and so on.
Yeah,
Hey.
it's just a little tricky. Alright, moving on to the next question. This one's from Inky Bone. How does the modding tool change how you create a mod? So, yeah, I mean, I can talk about this a little bit. So, the way I think it's going to work right now is you'll do some Lua scripting, really basic Lua scripting to create like new entries, if that makes sense. So like for example, when it comes to like the new buff source stuff that we're working on, you declare what the buff source is and like all of its parameters via Lua, and then we have that information loaded into the game. So it's probably going to follow like some kind of structure like that, where it's like if you're using any new, like for example, if we were to implement new statuses, you would define the new status and how it works in Lua, and then you would just reference it like you would normally, right? So it's like instead of saying versus bleeding, you'd say versus expiated, right? Like that'd just be an option you could do.
Existence of future modding tool is also holding back a little bit some stuff, because we were used to have limited power, and we have to slow down making very complicated stuff with limited tools we have, because existence of possibility of having something better would make all the work with limited tools obsolete. So it's
You want to show some
Unlimited power.
GUI screenshots? Sure. Yeah. Why not? We can show like one. I think that'll probably
I'll
get the idea
do a little
across.
screenshot as a tweet.
Yeah.
So I guess next question.
I mean, well, I guess, Jibbed, what I've said so far, does that sound accurate? I mean, it's
Yeah. For anything extra that I will be exposing, it should be going through Lewis scripting.
Okay. Good. All right, next question. Kilted. Another lore question. As for the Ostfinger remnants, do any of them have plans to ever bring back the Ostfinger Empire? Or is it impossible for them to reunite given their current circumstances? I guess this is a question more for Spurp and Rat.
I would say it's an aversion close to impossible because the country itself is basically a smoldering ruin filled with eldritch horrors. There's nothing to build there. Any attempt to reclaim the land will be absolutely futile. And the people have been either killed, transformed into abominations, or scattered to the winds working as mercenaries. So nobody really, like the head of the entire nation have been kind of gone by this point. So it's really only like the scattered remnants of what rest of the society. They don't really give a shit about. They don't really care about the Austrians as a whole. They just want to survive. So at this point, the unification is not possible.
Yeah. At most, you're gonna get some minor organizations like the Rot Hearing Company, like they, and I still wouldn't call them like any kind of formal nation or state or anything like that. It's over. It is super over for them. Some of them will clump up together in like little groups, but ultimately, yeah, it's gone. There ain't no making Ostfinger great again.
Yeah. They're basically entirely nomads and mercenaries at this point.
All right, next question. Will teasers and lore posts from Patreon become public after Finish Line?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's the plan.
Well, I think we'll just make everything public.
Yeah.
I don't think there's a reason not to.
So.
Like when the finish line is reached, we're gonna close down the Patreon in terms of like we won't be accepting donations or anything, and we'll see if we can turn it into like a kind of just a reference for people, like a library, I guess, library of concepts and lore and whatnot. I don't know how feasible that is. Actually, I'm thinking about it. I actually don't even know if you can have Patreon pages without accepting donations, so maybe that might be a problem, but we'll see.
There are like free tiers and stuff. You can set a free tier.
Yeah. Well, it's like I don't know. The problem is I don't know if it can exist without us having like at least one paid tier.
I believe at least you can pause them. There might be a legacy option. Sure.
That would be kind of funny. You just have it like indefinite pausing.
Yeah.
I mean, isn't there like a system to make it so that you accept the donation or like per something you make basis?
Oh, like
per video, yeah.
Yeah.
And then you just don't take
yeah.
any of those.
That could maybe work, yeah.
Yeah.
You just have like some massive goal that's like we're not ever feasibly going to meet, yeah. That could work. Alright. Next question.
Alright, we got cheese.
What was the biggest thing your testers / Balder cheesed for your play-tested versions?
Well,
I
for
forgot,
Baldur, it is easy because Baldur finds the way. Cheese almost anything.
Well, yeah.
I think he was able to make Prepariant kill everyone.
Blight teams took a bunch of L's because of the Baldur.
That's very true, yeah.
Was someone beating the sandworm without using at any point? Wait, they were just.
I think it was Carrion.
Yeah, it was Carrion.
That was a long
think
time
that
ago,
was,
yeah.
but I don't think that was a playtest version, was it?
No, that was a
it
public
was on the
version.
live.
Public. That was like that might have been like the very first like Troglodyte released version we had. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
Also, he got I thought he did virtue cheese, no? Yeah, Cryptix is mentioning. I thought he did virtue cheese. Because I'm pretty sure he had to, otherwise you can't win that fight in an endurance race. The scream just stacks up too much stress.
I don't remember. Man. I'm gonna be honest,
Yeah.
I don't remember. That was so long ago.
Yeah,
It was
it
a
was a
very
while
long time
ago.
ago.
I mean, wormed by marking with the cultist once. Yeah, well, that was kind of the intended way to do it. Was like you had multiple ways of doing it, but the problem was like one of the ways of doing it, like marking with a cultist or through other sources, just ended up being way worse. Like just way less consistent than just actually marking via the tongue. So
Mm-hmm.
I think Karine did actually have playtest access back then. He might have, but I don't think that was done in a playtest version.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's been like years. Yeah, I can't remember, man.
Yeah.
That was a good piece of cheese. Next question is from
Cheese.
Poots. I don't know if this was asked before, but will installing mods be easier in the 1.0 release? Is it feasible to have an in-game mod sorter or manager, or will it remain the same to put mods manually in the mod folder? That's a good question.
Yeah.
One of the things we want to look at is doing like proper workshop support, but that's not something we can promise. And like, there's a whole other
injector.
yeah, there's like a whole other host of things with the modding tools that take priority over that. But it is on the wish list. It is on the wish list.
Yeah. Just don't be surprised if it doesn't happen. Be very surprised if it does.
Yeah, that's a good way of looking at it. So yeah, I guess to answer your question, it's likely going to remain the same. All right,
Next one's
question.
basically a seal question.
Next question is Monster Hunter. What was the design philosophy behind prep round and longer dungeons? Time it takes to finish a short run could take a hot second. Not that I don't appreciate a stronger emphasis on buffs and alternative tactics, but it is a hot button for some. So yeah, the prep round exists as sort of a way to counter the optimal way of playing Base Darkest Dungeon. Because like in Base Darkest Dungeon, the way you play the game on like really high difficulties is it's just alpha strike and stuns. Like that's basically it. And
defensive playstyles are completely unviable unless you are cheesing the ever-loving hell out of it.
Yeah, doing like dodge stacking or something.
Unviable, but like
but yeah,
dodge
prep
is
round
probably
was largely
the...
introduced for that reason. It was just to like make it so there's more of an emphasis on buffing, and I guess to an extent it was to make fights last longer. It wasn't really like I think when we were working on the idea, our goal wasn't really to make fights longer. It was just to make it so other play styles outside of alpha strike and stuns were like more effective, right? And prep round I think was a good way to look at that.
Yeah.
Prep round was like one of the very first things we added into VR.
Yeah. So do you have anything you want to add to that as a design guy?
I mean, it was also that we wanted to, like, in general, just change up the game. And for the longer dungeons, the idea was that the dungeons themselves would be, like, there would be less dungeons, so that the dungeons would be longer. And that also spiraled into other things, like having more camps and so on. But since now we don't really have an end game, then it's, like, not exactly feasible to like adjust the length of a campaign because there is no end. So
Yeah. I know.
There is no end of this hell.
Very true. I know we've talked about doing some things to maybe make it so dungeons as a whole or quests as a whole take like a little less time, or like there's like less. If say something happens and you lose someone in a quest or something, like you can kind of get back to where you were a little quicker. Like we have some ideas on how to. We have some changes we want to test, and we have some ideas on how to address that. But yeah, I think a lot of it just came from, like the dungeon length stuff, especially. I think that was just we made some balance changes when we first started out, and then that kind of like spiraled into like a whole design. I don't know about design philosophy, but like design quirk, I guess, of the mod.
And there's also the fact that we cannot really don't have like any analytic tools to like see how long each thing takes, how many weeks people are into the campaign, when they tackle each boss and so on.
Best we can do is like Twitch streams and YouTube videos.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I think that's also a big problem we've had with like some balance stuff. Like a lot of times when we're balancing things, it's based on community feedback and our own personal experiences with the mod. We
Now,
don't have
while
like
you
any
guys are
hard.
real bad at the game, JK.
I wish you weren't joking, but that's kind of true.
Yeah, I don't want to be too mean.
Well, no, I agree. I think a lot of I don't know, a lot of people in our community aren't bad, but like you get some comments sometimes that are just like, oh my god, really? Like how? How
Or
does
it
this even
just feels like
happen?
the people didn't read what you
Yeah,
said.
yeah. Expecting people to read.
I
Yeah.
Like,
we party
there's a
wiped in the
reason we put
tutorial.
so much effort.
How?
There's a reason we put so much effort into like showing all the kinds of information, like all
Yeah.
the descriptions, the tutorial pop-ups, what was the name? Like the infocoms, then also the help menus that you can like press the H button for, which Red Hook doesn't realize that one of them is broken because of a typo and has probably been for years now. In the base game, if you press H while in the Abbey, the window is empty. And yeah, that's fun. Shows how much they put into that aspect.
Some mechanics just are broken.
Yeah, and they are broken enough that they work for the base game, but not much elsewhere.
Yeah, I don't know. There's definitely. All that being said, I do think there are some problems with how we have tutorials set up. Like a lot of it is kind of just restrictions that we have to work around. Like we have very limited ways to make tutorial pop-ups show up, and so we do have to front load like a lot of information, which I know we've had complaints about that in the past, which are pretty valid. But that's like, I don't know. Maybe that's something we can look at with modding tools, but I wouldn't. I don't know. I don't know for sure. Anyways, are there going to be more heroes on the 1.0 release? Yeah. There's
Yes,
going to be.
because Ascendant.
Yeah, there's going to be one
Yes,
more hero. It'll be a base hero, so it won't be added through a add-on or anything, and that is the Ascendant.
Any other heroes added are just going to be donations from people. They're not planned of any description. If somebody shoulders the immense burden of, I put 100% of the effort into this mod, then that could happen as like add-ons, but ultimately the official roster, it's just going to be the Ascendant.
I assume people don't give us made mode, and please call it an add-on. If somebody make a mode, it is a mode for BR.
Moving on, next question. Sasiji is a legend. It's very true. The actual question he had was...
Thank you, Giant.
If the dwarf...
Thank you, thank you.
God. I almost said if the dwarf of light. Oh. If the brain of light was... Wait, I guess... Okay, the question is worded a little weird. Is the brain of light something that was discussed way back, or is it something I just dreamt up? That was something that was discussed way back, but that does kind of trim to like 1.0 spoiler territory, so I think we'll just leave it.
During the Seal streams that were before the...
Yeah, as part of the Seal stream era. Oh my god.
So only the cool kids remember.
That was before so much.
Yeah.
That was 4 years ago, man. Oh. Why are we skipping your question? Did we not? Wait. Oh, is the Ascendant edible? I mean, it's kind of the same answer as everything else.
If you don't manage to eat it, improve.
Yeah, exactly.
A skill issue.
But yeah, to answer your question, Giant Dwarf, the brain of light was something discussed, but we can't talk about it any more than that.
Yeah.
Yep.
Alright, next question, also by Cucumber Vegetable. On a more serious note, are there any things from BR, implemented or not, that you would like to use in a different project? Like a concept for enemy, boss, location, or things existing in BR that you would like to iterate on more elsewhere? I don't know about stuff
I will make amber wine.
There you go. I don't know if there's much from BR itself that we would want to use in a different project. BR, like a lot of BR and a lot of the concepts around it are pretty self-contained. Like at most you see stuff like some Osfinger concepts or like the Libero Grail Buster, which is concepts like that, like, and I wouldn't really say those are for BR, I guess. Like a lot of those concepts, when they're created, they aren't really seriously considered for BR inclusion, just because they're not really relevant.
Yeah, they're more for the grander world, I would say.
Yeah,
Just
yeah,
for
yeah.
world building sake.
And then like, so the other concepts outside of that, like we have some really cool concepts, but like they're pretty much designed around BR. It's hard to use them elsewhere when they're designed with such like a focus.
Yeah. I'd say the Ostvenger are like self-contained enough that you could explore them on their own, but ultimately everything else is pretty much tied around the way that Darkest Dungeon and Black Reliquary function narratively and thematically. Because like even the Ostvenger, you know, being swallowed up by an eldritch mass, like you could extend that and extrapolate it into something more sufficiently original, but it's
Yeah, like a lot of that wider world building stuff is a lot of it's also like really like it's conceptual, right? So it's like there's not a whole lot to it outside of just the visuals, which makes it like I don't know, it makes it a little hard to like figure out where you'd want to reuse it. I guess to answer the question more concisely, I'd say probably not. Not right now, no. At least for me. Do any of the other developers have any input on that?
no. I think we can all
No, I agree.
Okay. Moving on, next question is from Sorting Helmet. On an alignment scale like D&D, where would the Trog faction land as a whole? My favorite batch of enemies.
probably say like chaotic neutral, because they're not really actively
evil.
trying to be evil. They're just kind of operating off of their own survival instinct and working towards their own end goal, but they aren't like outwardly trying to be malicious. What do you think, Spurp?
I think that's a correct estimate of their personality. Yeah, they're developed humans trying to make themselves. Well, I can't go into that without spoiling the territory. So I'm just gonna say they're developed humans trying to survive in the hand they're given.
Yeah, they've got an end goal. I don't even know if you can call it end goal. Well, you can. But they do have like an end game, but ultimately it's all in the name of just like, we're just trying to get by.
Sometimes it just gets a little bit too silly. A little bit too silly by kidnapping humans from the surface.
They're definitely a little
And
too
eating them.
violent to be, you know, to be good. But
Yeah.
they aren't committing like atrocities for the sake of it, you know, like Wildlanders stringing up a blood eagle on a Levantine soldier. Like that's malice. That's active malice.
Yeah, that's evil. And I would say most factions are kind of just like not evil. They're just doing their own thing, and your goal opposes theirs. So you're gonna clash. It's not really us versus them. It's like everyone's their own protagonist of their story.
Yeah, I'd say the Levantine soldiers are more in the neutral territory, but Levantine leadership on like their imperial scale, kind of evil. Like the Vizier and their top scientists, they're kind of evil.
Yeah, that's a correct assumption.
Yeah, because the ghouls were actually, you know, as far as BR lore goes, ghouls were created in the lab for the most part. There was a patient zero, and they went, oh shit, we can do something with this, and they kind of went umbrella on it. I think is the best way to put it.
Next question is from Purple Milk. What is each dev's favorite piece of cut content? Like, if you could wish one idea into existence, which would it have been? That's a good question.
God, that is a tough one.
I guess I could. I know my answer, so I can start maybe. Mine would probably be the Tragastronomist?
Gastronomist?
Yeah, Gastronomist, yeah.
The gourmet guy.
Gourmet guy, yeah. The idea for him was really cool. It was it's a town event where he's serving you a dish, a specific dish, and you would have to give him material, like either money or some ingredient or something, in order to have him cook the meal for you. And then if you purchase the meal, you'd get like a really decent buff on the next quest. But like it was really cool, like bit of world building where it's like you could see how, grilled pterotilus steaks would taste or something. Like I don't know, it was just a lot of like really interesting world building opportunities I think from that I really wish we got to see.
but it got cut because too many people asked about is blank edible. So that's your fault.
True. No, no, it just
All
wasn't
the
possible. It wasn't
Umber
possible to implement.
orders.
Yeah.
It's your fault.
Should we showcase the concept art, or should we just keep
Yeah,
it
you can. Yeah, you can show the concept. Right?
until
Yeah,
we reveal it?
That's fine. That's fine. I don't have it on
All
hand,
right.
so if you have it, you can share it. Yeah.
I have it.
Perfect.
There it is.
Yeah. The guy.
Well, the real reason we can't include him is just because it wasn't possible to have town events that give buffs to your roster that are also purchasable via currency.
Who next?
I love the Warhawk other tribute.
I can talk next.
Yeah, Sauce.
I think fact that we had to ban random hero prisoners completely. It's annoying because Red Hook did one parameter completely wrong. Just one line of text doesn't work, and it makes it completely incompatible with VR. So prison cells are banned. Sorry.
Are we going with content which was complete or just drafted?
Just
And the regular
cut. We're talking about cut content.
I would say Dredge's armor up skill, where she has like this set of armor descend from above and increase the armor rating of herself. One I like, because I like that design a lot, and I guess we didn't use it in the end. And Ghoul Maw is another one I kind of miss, because I really spent some quite time making it look nice, and we end up using it because of capture skill being broken in the usual fights.
I thought your answer would be size 2 heroes.
Well, that was
But it wasn't.
that was never really possible. I think we were all on the
Right,
same
it
page.
was
Yeah.
cut. Well, I guess it.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I see what you're saying.
Yeah. Mine is a tough one. It's either all of the Levantine character designs, because I would love to see a full roster of hero mirrors, or vendors functioning more like stores. Like, I would love it so much if we could actually have it operate the way that you would expect a store to do so, instead of a slightly more specific curio.
I just posted a concept of Dredge's armor up skill I mentioned.
Yeah.
It wasn't a design draft for me to make it, but it was cut in the end before it right after I finished it.
Yeah, we were originally planning on having what is it? Both human Dredge and mech Dredge have like fully fleshed out movesets, so like they'd each have 7 skills.
7 skills, yeah.
But that ended up being like just so much work, and it had a lot of design problems too.
Yeah, design problems.
An issue was targeting and launch of skills, because those has to be the same for both of them.
Yeah,
And also the
that was the
damage
biggest
mod.
problem.
Yeah.
And if anybody wants to know to what extent this was the case, look at the HUD for abilities and notice that there's a bit of a blank space next to the move icon. The HUD was adjusted to attempt this and not reverted.
Yeah, we were really,
Because it
Hey.
we were really
to
close
be.
to it.
I asked directly to not revert this, because if somebody wants to have 5 skills, then it is possible.
Yeah.
And I'm not reverting it back. It is not fun to take away functions for no reason.
Yeah, Rampart uses it. Yeah. It's nice to have like something. Oh man, this isn't really cut content, but it's more like a concept we've had for a while that would be really cool to see. But like something that this UI adjustment enables, is like we could do something where it's like specific heroes have a trinket that will, like on kill or something, unlock a special skill on them, and they can use that skill to transform, right? So it's kind of like the easiest way I can think of explaining it would be like, imagine living ammo working the way it does, but instead of like you kill an enemy and you just automatically equip it, you instead get another skill on your bar and you use that skill to load the ammo, right? And I know that sounds like kind of like overcomplicating it, but there are some like really cool ideas that we had for it that would involve it's more useful when you have a visual change that's like more drastic. I remember one of the ideas we floated around was like a sand charmer trinket. So like you'd have like a bounty hunter sand charmer trinket that would on kill give you access to a move that would allow bounty hunter to transform into a sand charmer variant, and he would have like his own moves, but that just ended up being like way too much work, so it was never something we could do.
Or like the holy punch for the troll.
Holy punch for the throw. Well, that was a little different because that was like a whole other move. That wasn't like a transformation, I don't think.
Yeah, but it was also like trinket that adds a skill.
Yeah, no, you're definitely right. Snore, what is your
Functionality of additional skills is still useful. Some heroes use it for hiding stuff.
yeah. Snore,
Love to
what is your favorite piece of cut content?
I mean, I'm not sure if I would call it a cut content. Like, it was something that I like had an idea for and I messaged Chill, but it wasn't really, not that it wasn't feasible, but it would require much assets and it wasn't practically really necessary. Was kind of how we have rare curios. I had an idea for a rare secret room replacement that would have a sort of scientist that would give you special trinkets that would have different trigger, as in using ADOTs for a single use per combat trinket. And basically that would allow you to do some fun stuff with them, but that ultimately didn't make the cut. Like, it was all just in my head, mostly.
John, the reason why the dredge stuff was cut was partially because it was too much work to get all that done visually and like have it be animated and like have sounds. The other reason was just because it was really difficult to properly design dredge with 7 skills in both modes because of issues with targeting.
Yeah, all the stuff that you would have to share.
Yeah. So it's like if we want to have our human dredge be a backliner, that means that our mech dredge would also have to function as a backliner in some capacity, which wasn't something we wanted to do.
Or if we wanted one mode to deal much more damage, then we would have to do it in a roundabout way, which would be confusing with like the trinkets and such.
Next question is
Jesus,
from
Dredge took a
Lovecraft
long
Gaming.
time.
Will there be a final AMA during the release? Any chance you can bring the entire team together? Maybe have community voices? I don't know. Haven't thought that far
Maybe.
ahead.
I wish we knew when we would be done.
Yeah. We don't even know when the final AMA is, which makes things or final release is, which makes things a little trickier. I will say trying to do like a stage like this with more people than this would probably be a nightmare because you have so many people talking at the same time.
It will take a while if you want to get answers
Yeah.
from everyone. Like, that's kind of why we have just 6 of us here.
So yeah, I don't know about that. We could maybe do like I don't know. I think if we were gonna do something like that, it couldn't be live. Like it would have to be something we like pre-record or something. But
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe it's hard to say.
We'll
Maybe
just do
even
the
just in
Jeff
written
Kaplan
form.
stream where we're sitting there for like 6 hours in front of a fireplace.
And next question. Next question is from Virtued Zero. I'm not sure about this question, but how are you doing, BR team? Bad things have happened this year. Are you doing okay? Thank you for asking.
Thank you.
I'm doing okay. Earlier this year I split. Okay, for context, last year I was working with Half Baked Games as a junior game developer, and this year we split. I'm not really like. I think I was technically laid off. It was a pretty clean split, but it was like there was some concerns about me being involved with BR as much as I am, and I actually ended up denying a promotion because I knew it would probably eat into BR time, like working on BR. Outside of that, I've been doing okay though. I've mostly just been focused on doing BR stuff and looking at some other projects. Jibbed, how are you doing? How's this year been for you, man?
It's had its ups and downs for sure. Earlier, like the first half of the year was all right, but lots of things have come up in the remaining half. I have been doing better since like the beginning of December, though.
I remember, yeah, you had to dip out a couple times during some months. Like I remember September was a little rough. Good to hear that you're doing better now, though. Sauce, how you doing?
Oh.
How you doing? How you doing,
How I'm
Sauce? How's,
doing?
how's your year going?
Oh, it's hard question. I need to be honest, or or it's more beneficial to me to lie. I'm gonna tell I'm pretty good.
Okay. uh,
Sure, how have you been?
Swift, how you doing?
It's been a year, I would say. A very, very fascinating year, to be honest. Very, very full year of things happening, and good things, bad things, some very good things in the end, I'll be honest.
One of the years
I can't
ever.
wait. Yeah, it's one of the years, but I am very satisfied with the way projects are progressing, with the way we are shaping, because I think V1.0 will be fantastic, based on what I've seen, based on the efforts by G and Zap and Red and Seal and the entirety of the gang to make sure there should be updates. And like life-wise, I would say things have never been better because my legs are healing. Probably gonna be home eventually, and some other stuff have happened which are very nice. I can't quite talk about. Yeah, I would say it's been a good year. It's gonna be better.
Purple, purple in shortcut. Stick and stone can break my bones and make me handicapped.
Well, my soul is made out of bones and it's quite resilient to whatever fate can throw my way. I may be handicapped in a wheelchair now, but
That
the
doesn't
future
stop.
is bright. Yeah, that never stopped me. I've dealt with things which are way worse than this.
Yeah.
Good to
Snore,
hear.
how you doing?
Well, my previous job was a bitch, but that's past me. Gonna try to find something better. Don't know, I have some more time to focus on like modding and BR or otherwise. So yeah, hope for good things to come. Been better, but been worse.
Rhett, how are you doing, man?
Uh, year in its totality, it's been treating me all right. I didn't like having my car stolen on my birthday. That was pretty fucking annoying. But yeah, I got a new job that's making me optimistic towards the future. And though I'm not, as an American, oh god, I'm scared about the coming years. If things go as promised, our economy may very well be on the verge of collapse. We'll see. So, you know,
Yeah,
there's a reason I'm like, I wonder how hard it is to immigrate to Germany.
I do hope.
Economy isn't much better elsewhere. It's hard time overall in the world.
Yeah. Moving on. Next question is by Arcana. How happy are you guys with the current state of Black Reliquary 1.0? Are you feeling burnt out, or do you guys enjoy what you are doing and what you've accomplished so far? Would the finished game be something that you guys would play yourself outside of testing on your own time after you're done? Or are you guys just never going to touch the game due to overexposure? Lamau. It's a good question. I'd say personally, I'm pretty happy with the current state of BR 1.0, especially now that the modding tools are taking shape. Funny enough, I'd say like because of how the mod tools are developing, like we've had to push down a lot of our development a bit because it's like we're not really sure like what the end game of modding tools are going to look like, so it's hard to design stuff. But because of that, I'm actually feeling like less burnt out than I was, just because we're doing like less development. So in a way, it's kind of actually helped my enjoyment with BR modding.
Before modding
like an
tools were
awkward
invented, I made workaround for size 71 quirk slots for BR for workarounds. This is go to the trash can right now because it doesn't seem to be needed. But I have a lot of good time because I am just messing around stuff in less limited environment than base DD. It's always fun to find something more and to talk with other nerds that you find something more.
Spirit, what are your thoughts on 1.0? I mean, you kind of already talked about it, but I guess, are you feeling burnt out with BR at all?
No. Not at all. In fact, I'm more interested with the work you guys put in, the work I've seen. I am nothing more than super proud of what we have achieved together on this project. I think it's by far one of the most ambitious projects we like done in the space period. Like I think it's on par with, I guess, I want to name drop Enderall and Downfall, which was a big inspiration for what pushed us, I think, to do this on such a big scope to the point where like the developers can acknowledge us. Because Enderall has its own store page, so does Downfall for Slave Aspire. And then we reached out to Red Hook and asked them if they can put us on a Steam page, and they're like, "Yeah, let's go." And so we have our own Steam page and such. We're
It's
here.
kind of funny that the fact that we are like on the DD's store page is like a necessity because of the fact that we have it set up as a bundle, which is a necessity because we are using more than one DLC. Because
Yeah, it's
that's
kind of
the
funny.
only way you can check for more than one item on a Steam, but for purchasing another
Thank you,
item.
Gaben.
Yeah.
Yeah, well,
Thank you.
Thank you, Chris.
Thank you, Jason Steam.
I think it is
Yeah.
fair to note though that there is some serious problems with us being a mod that's also in a bundle. Because as far as I know, we're the only instance of that on the entire Steam store. There's no other like
That's
mod
kinda weird.
projects that exist as bundles
We're
with the
special.
original product. And that's caused some problems before. Like I remember we used to have
The
family sharing
review is
enabled,
not counted.
but we had
Like
to
at
get
first
rid
it
of
was
it.
like the reviews not counting.
Yeah, it was so
And when that was
annoying.
switched off, it disabled the family sharing.
Yeah. We had
And
a
apparently
problem.
those two things cannot coexist.
Yeah, exactly right. Yeah, we had a problem where our reviews weren't being counted, or it's like only like a really small number of our reviews were being counted. And in order to fix that, like we talked to our Valve guy, and he changed it and fixed it, and then that ended up breaking family sharing, and we can't have both enabled at the same time, which is really annoying.
Or
So-
kind of how we wanted to release as an
Yeah,
early
we
access,
also
but
yeah
that doesn't.
we can't
that's
even
not
do
the
early
thing for
access. Oh
mods.
my god.
Yeah.
Also, we can have workshop for some reason, which is silly.
Well,
No, I
we
think-
actually
no, we
no,
can.
we could
We
have a
can.
workshop. It's just our
But
version of the game.
like with the current setup, DD wouldn't read from that place
Yeah,
where
yeah,
the
yeah.
workshop would download the mods.
But we actually could have
Like
a
it
workshop.
might be possible to change with the modding tools, but it's not possible for like vanilla DD to check in other place than one that's specified inside the exe,
Exactly.
or one that's meant for the vanilla DD.
So yeah, it's not all upsides being on the Steam store, I guess is what I'm trying to say. It is definitely overall better for us as a product, but it's been a bit of a bumpy
It has
ride.
its issues.
Yeah, it has its issues.
Definitely better than having BR as downloadable mode.
That's very
Jesus,
true.
remember
Very
those
true.
days?
I do remember the days. I wish I didn't, but I do. Actually, it wasn't that bad.
Maybe it's
Snore answer
better
the
that you don't have dementia.
Did Snore answer the question?
I don't think so. No.
No. Yeah, I'm still playing BR, like basically to know and like know how it plays and such. So and get like my own point of view on how the things feel, rather than just looking at the spreadsheets. So yeah, I still play it. I'm not burnt out on it. I feel like after the 1.0, it would be nice to actually play it just for the sake of playing it,
Yeah.
and not with the developer mindset. So yeah, still not burnt out. Working is on it is tiresome, but it's still something we do for fun or because we like it.
Rhett, what about?
I would say I literally designed. Yeah, I'm sorry.
Yeah, Rhett, what have you answered the question?
No, not yet. What were you gonna say, Spurp?
I'm gonna say I literally designed Dredge for myself because I just like Jack. It's a hero for me.
I'm not burnt out on BR. I'm just burnt out on Darkest Dungeon as a whole, and by extension BR. But I do like watching people play it. I still very much enjoy just observing people play it and enjoy it and have fun with that. Would I play the game after the 1.0? maybe, but I've just played so much Darkest Dungeon in general that I'm just like kind of I'm a little tired of the gameplay farm. Certain that I would come back to it later at a later date, but probably not shortly after the 1.0. But yeah, I do still really enjoy watching people play. Like I'll frequently flip on Twitch, see if anybody's playing it, that kind of stuff. So yeah, I don't hate it. I just don't want to play it anymore. And yeah, I've because I work schedule has gotten in the way. I have not been a lot of the meetings that the other devs have. So my position as a member of the design team has kind of faded just from lack of me being able to attend and all that stuff. So that's kind of where that's at. But I'm very, very proud and pleased of where we're at so far. I'm very happy that BR is the thing and that we've got a team that's so dedicated. And yeah.
Jib?
Yeah, I think so.
No, it's for me. Approaching modding is very much I enjoy the challenge thing. So new things interest me a lot. So
All right, moving on. Next is from John Reliquary, the guy himself. Could you please elaborate on the effects of Ghoul Plague and Rictus Mortis? What effects could you elaborate on the effects that it has on the body of a diseased, lore-wise? It's a good question. Maybe we start with Ghoul Plagued.
Because I don't know if anybody here knows anything about Ligma Mortis. So, because that was more of a...
No, don't go that route. Come on.
What? Anyway,
Yeah.
yeah, that was more of... no. Yeah, that was more of Kat's thing. It was Kat who worked on the Hexer, right?
Yeah.
God, Sauce, that was fast. How did you... Jesus. Anyway, so yeah, the Ghoul Plague, though, it is transmitted via... Okay, the original person who inherited it did so via a just kind of black magic being corrupted, and then the Lebs found out that via injection of the ghoul disease, you actually can cause it to take over another person, but their exact transformation is based on who they were previously. So, like the pharmacopoeia would have actually been your sort of scientisty, doctory type. I'm sure Spurp will have more to answer on that question, though.
But yeah, there exists some really off, like weird ghouls which never made it past the concept stage, which kind of represent various personalities of the ghouls before they became undead creatures. For example, the Spellblighter is actually just a occultist type ghoul because as you can see, the candle on its head represents its style of play and yes, its connection with the Eldritch powers, which it uses to heal its allies and attack you and such. Whereas the regular ghoul is like your average Joe. Yes, Nor?
The occultist mirror in that he can zero heal bleed an ally
Yes.
and kill them.
Yeah, it's really the one of those funny little suggestions I had for his moveset.
Yeah,
The Super Z.
yeah, a minus 200 heal.
Yeah. Oh, that was a funny one. Yeah, alongside the Pain Wheeler, the Ghoul Mother, and such, they were also like mirrors that used to be in life, except for maybe the Ghoul Mother, which is a zero in a sense.
And yeah, that's
Although I want to mention,
Shackles and sorry.
yeah, I was gonna say I was not part of a design team on the Ghoul Serum. That's definitely Red's wheel part to explain how it works. I mostly just designed the Ghoul idea and the units.
Yeah, because we went over for one of the Patreon lore posts going into it a bit more, but the shackles and chains around the Ghoul Mother, she broke out of Levantine captivity. It's the Levs who, again, they were trying to be Umbrella and make a BOW, and the end result is they just sort of mimic what they were previously, They do have a certain level of rot to them, like sort of flesh-eating disease, but so they're gonna be real stinky. I guess is there not much else to that question? Yeah.
Well, for Ghoul Plagued, you said Cat was the one that mostly handled Rictus Mortis, so maybe.
And I think the Rectus Mortis is like just basically what the Hexer has, which is, I'm not sure. It was the cat that wrote and his entire idea is basically like malicious things, you weaponize kind of thing. And if they don't succeed, if you like let them take over, it's similar to what one modded enemy Maledictor is. Like that's basically if Hexer fails to contain those powers. But yeah, I think that was generally the idea. Like basically Hexer's power that can be used on others.
Next question from Inkybone. This might have been answered already. If it was, skip it. What do the modding tools consist of? Are they an extra function you can access? Okay, so yeah, we did answer this already. It's just going to be like you can declare new things via Lua scripting, and you can access that via like normal modding. So the example I used before was just
options
like
for the modders.
yeah. The example I used before is like you could create a new buff source, and you can set all the parameters on the buff source. Like you could choose if it saves on game close or something like that. And you can like give it a custom icon like for the tray. But then like if you're gonna actually use that in modding, you have to like reference it in your mod, if that makes sense. So it's kind of just that workflow of like declaring something via Lua scripting and setting all the parameters and whatnot through that, and then you actually implement it via standard modding. So next question, this is from Monster Hunter. This is the guy that asked about the prep round and longer dungeon stuff earlier. Said, alright, I can get behind the answer on the prep round. From what I understand, there will not be different difficulty versions of bosses, so Janissary is only going to be for Vet in current release. I just want to thank you for this approach. I didn't enjoy killing Prophet 3 times, or Prophet, for example, 3 separate times. The actual question was, what is the relation of Amber in the lore of BR? I haven't delved too deep into BR lore, but I'm curious as to why this rock is so significant and why it is coveted.
We can't go into explaining that without like more.
Okay, more spoilers. Okay.
explanation. Yeah.
The general
you gotta play
gist is
figure it out.
So,
there's MacGuffins in there that people want.
yes.
Not everyone knows what the MacGuffins are, but they just know that there's good MacGuffins.
I mean, even in game you can
Or
see
at least
that
they're
if you
pretty
can be
sure
made
that there's
into
MacGuffins.
the Amber Dust, which is shown to have relaxive and other properties.
Yes, it has a very wide recreational use and is very valuable.
Recreational use.
I completely
like
misread the question and misheard the question. My apologies. I thought they were talking about the Reliquary.
Oh no, yeah, relation of Amber and lore to the BR.
The Amber lore.
Basically, like why is it so coveted, right? Why is it so important?
It has a lot of very strange properties that are clearly significant and powerful. And there are a lot of theories that people have as to A, its source, and B, its significance. So that's kind of why a lot of people want it, is they're trying to figure out answers to your... like every setting has that one made-up material that is just useful for everything, like... Metroid, it's like Phaso or Phazon or something. Mass Effect, it's Element Zero. It's that kind of thing.
Yeah, I mean, it does have some lore implications, like deeper lore implications. But like Spurp was saying, we can't really go into that just yet. So
yeah,
You'll find out next time.
Next question from Giant.
To be honest, I don't know what Amber is. Next question.
Rock.
Next question.
It's a yellow rock.
Was the old road used in any fashion in the Black Reliquary?
I don't think so.
No.
No.
It was
Not really.
literally.
Nope.
It was one of the first things I said that it cannot be used at all because it is one of the most buggiest part of base DD ever.
It's kind of doo-doo.
Yeah.
Yes, it's horrible.
Moving on. Next question. Next question is from Evil Ano. What is your guys' favorite part of the lore? Good question. Good
I
question.
can answer first.
Yeah, go on.
You know, there is the spectrum. Some people love lore. I am the person that has absolutely don't care. That's all.
Okay.
So the answer is
Nothing.
Nothing. He does not care for lore. He's above lore. I don't know. There's some goofy parts of the lore that are kind of fun, like the whole gastrosaur being a chicken, and our little
a
troglodyte.
really big chicken.
Yeah, and our little troglodyte purveyor guy. He's a little goofy fella,
Steve.
He's a goofy fella.
a goofy little guy.
I love
Yes.
Steve.
Boy.
I think my favorite part would be referencing Conan directly with the rare mountain god rare courier spirit, because it was quite literally Arnold Schwarzenegger's outfit for the final battle of Conan the Barbarian.
His outfit and lack thereof.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, you know, the helmet and the sword.
Yeah.
Right. What is your favorite lore part?
It's kind of weird, but it's all of the new classes. I like their backstories. I find those to be fun. Granted, I wrote a big chunk of them, but it was fun to write them.
Snore. What is your favorite lore part?
Mine? Huh. Like, there's a bunch of them that I like. I think my favorite is the troglodytes and how they came to be, which I'm not sure if I can talk much about.
I don't think so for now.
Yeah.
That
You
is
will
valid.
find out why it's so cool soon, hopefully.
All right, moving on.
Was that everyone? Or do you mean everyone in the
Well, I
audience?
think that was everyone. I mean, I didn't ask Jip, but like,
Spurp?
I don't know if Jip
No,
even
it's
knows the lore. Spurp,
Yeah, I already said it.
Wasn't.
yeah. All right, next question. What was the biggest thing you had to downsize before starting work on it? That's a good question.
Yes.
Greater Worm we downsized a lot in terms of like scope. Dredge we were just talking about how we downscoped
Yeah.
Dredge a lot.
We have to
Cryptic's
That's
treasury.
downsize Amber Lady.
That's a good answer.
Shut up.
That's a really good answer.
That's
Yeah.
funny. That
That's funny, man.
Pack Hunters we had to downsize. Treasury we had to downsize a little bit. Actually, Treasury wasn't that bad though.
I mean, it used to have it used to be an extraction shooter.
Yeah. That's
found a
that's
van.
more like a design change than it is like a downsize though.
Well, I mean, we removed an entire planned mechanic for the dungeon operating in a different way, but yeah, I think it was definitely for the best. For those unaware, one of the original design concepts for the treasury was you would have to find the exit.
The idea was like you just had to like find a rope or something, like find a rope ladder out.
Actually, there's a really cool boss coming up, which I cannot talk about, which I'm not going to mention anymore.
Well, do you have
I'm just
do
gonna be quiet.
you remember the what is it, the big face cactinid guy?
Yeah, eventually it became the brain.
Oh, you could
The
share
nuclear
him
core.
because he kind of related to that original concept, and that's not really a spoiler.
All right, I can
We
show
showed
it.
all
Yeah.
the we showed all the darkest bosses already, right?
We have, but this guy isn't even a darkest boss. He's just like an old concept.
Oh,
Like,
you're talking about a
core.
different one.
The nuclear core replaced him. He was the name of the champ boss. This is like really old. Big face cactinid. Oh man. All right. Well, next question. This is back from Monster Hunter. So, a small question to throw at the devs talking. What's your all's favorite game outside of DD? I might need to wait on that one. Sauce, what's your favorite game outside of DD?
Gothic 2.
What two? I missed that.
Gothic.
Gothic.
This is
Gothic too. Okay.
Gothic. It is absolute classic in Poland. It is the
This
most Poland
game-
German game ever.
I thought
it's
Heroes of
the
Might and Magic
game
3
that's-
was the most Polish game.
Heroes of Might and Magic
Also.
3 is my second.
Okay.
And there is no Might of Magic 5 and later. They don't exist.
Okay.
Yeah. But yeah,
Script
Gothic
two.
was huge in Germany when it first came out, the original one,
And Poland.
and then it kind of spread to Europe.
It is
s-
worldwide known in those two countries.
Spirit, what's your favorite game outside of DD?
A lot. It really depends on my mood, but I would say Team Fortress 2 is my by default play because I like shooters. Slave Spy for if I want to just chill by myself, just some mods. RimWorld if I want to basically lock myself in the room for a couple of days and just not come out, eat, sleep, or drink. And it would be probably either Yakuza series or Monster Hunter series if I feel like just playing a good action game.
Yakuza is pretty good. What's your favorite TF2 class?
Scout.
Ah.
Scout and Demo Knight. I prefer speed over anything because being able to outmaneuver an enemy is highly valuable if you're playing with a team which is not so good and you gotta make sure you can position yourself well. The Demo Knight charge and the Scout's double jump and speed can really help you with positioning. Even if you're not very good at aiming, being able to outmaneuver your opponent can do a lot to your survival, which is the key sometimes in fights in the shooter.
Nice.
Jib, what's your favorite game?
That changes constantly. My favorite current game is Splitter.
Wait, what?
Splitter. Slitter.
Oh, I've heard of that.
I haven't heard of that one. Post like a link or something in the chat. I'd check that out.
Sure.
Did Snore answer?
No.
No.
Snore, what's your favorite game outside of DD?
Okay, so I am a very roguelike build person. And
Yeah.
so one of the recent games that I adore is called Witching Stone, which is basically roguelike that has like kind of a map, but the main gameplay loop is like connecting gems on a board to cast different spells. And it's sort of like deck builder-ish, but people call it more like an engine builder because you just assemble all the parts so that your build clicks and it all works. And it's very like underrated, like less than 100 reviews on Steam. So I've been shilling the fuck out of it everywhere. Other than that, there's the Slice and Dice, Risk of Rain 2, and what else? Other than that, maybe
Binding of Isaac?
Terraria. Binding of Isaac sometimes, yes.
I
Not
play
sure
a
what
lot, a bit of Factorio too, and Minecraft.
Minecraft is always a good game to
Oh,
play.
Minecraft, the
Yeah.
VR.
I guess to answer
Ever.
the question, I'm kind of also roguelike build. I'd say Slice and Dice is probably my most played game as of recent. Like favorite game, I don't know. There's so many. I've played so many games and I've enjoyed so many. I think it's hard for me to pick like a favorite.
What's the one that you go to when you just don't know what else to play?
Right now, that's Slice and Dice, but it changes depending on how. I guess it just depends on like how I'm feeling, you know. Like sometimes I do STS,
Mhm.
like Sprip was saying. Sometimes I do. I don't really do Isaac much anymore because I'm really close to Dead God, and I don't want to. Like all I have left to do is get Platinum God, and I have to like touch some more items, and I really just can't be bothered. And then I also have to do the like play 30 days of the daily
Daily.
challenges, which I can't be bothered either. Yeah, I'd say those. I've actually, you know what I've been doing a lot recently? I've been playing a lot of Pokemon Heart Gold. So I guess that's another thing. I guess
Um,
I also play Gwent from Witcher.
Gwent is a sub. It's like a mini game, right? Or is it like, it's not like a whole.
There
is a
is
minigame in
mini
The
game
Witcher
in
that got
Witcher 3
expanded
and
into a
standalone game
Ah, okay.
that is a bit different as a standalone game. And I like it, especially for Witcher stuff in it. I love this world and
Neat.
characters. Very neat.
I
I
With
love when he said it's ultra
Salamandron.
killing time, and he ultra killed all over the place.
Yeah, Red is a big ultra kill nerd.
Yeah.
Right,
So
you
I
mentioned
actually uninstalled every game in my library.
yeah, you mentioned that. You were big on Monster Hunter too, right? Back in the day.
Nope. Well, okay. Monster Hunter Freedom 2 on the PSP lowered my GPA. Oh, that might just be an American grade point average. My grades got lower because I couldn't stop fucking playing Monster Hunter in high school. But I have not touched a Monster Hunter game since then. I generally like a lot of RPGs and also like roguelites because, great replay value, and I love the just one more. Just one more.
Yeah, just one more.
Just one more. One more, and that'll be it for the night. I
Oh.
One more
also have a
round.
really bad habit of I'll just do one round of the endless mode. And before I realize it, it's 4 in the fucking morning.
Yeah. Speaking of that reminded me, I've been playing a lot of Balatro too. Balatro is really good.
I have Badger on my phone, though it eats the ever-loving fuck of the battery on it.
Oh man.
Oh, I forced myself to burn out on Risk of Rain 2. I went to what do you call hazard level, threat level, where it keeps counting up. I got to 98. The game did not want to run anymore at that point. I got to Mithrix, whatever the boss is. The frame rate went into 0.001, and I'm not joking about that. Every
Yeah.
time I thought it had crashed, it would move one frame, and I'm like, okay, it's alive.
Yeah.
Crashing the Risk of Rain 2 is like the alternate victory condition.
Yeah. Is it really a Risk of Rain 2 playthrough if your FPS isn't below 10 or something?
It's not a god
If you don't have
value.
Every
single-digit
time I revived
FPS?
one of my
No, go on.
Every time I revived one of my drones, between me and the 3 sentries, we would generate 420 rockets.
The print build.
Yeah.
All right. Next question. So from Cucumber Vegetable, if everyone on the BR dev team got stranded on an island, who would be eaten first, and who would offer starting eating other people first?
I'm
I
going to
don't
say
want to be
I
rude.
will
But-
say that first, if somebody dies, then we had to eat them beside the brain, and we usually would have to keep yourself alive because more people makes increase our chance to survival.
And I don't want to sound rude, but considering the current conditions,
Also, I know how
Sport
to
would
make
have harder
blood
time
drink.
fighting back.
You bastard. How dare you?
As purple will be.
I still got my arms.
Yeah.
It still has no hands. Still can throw them.
We
I-
will
I
make
think
you
it'll
wheelchair
probably-
make of palm wood and fish bones.
If Spur was more in fighting condition, I think he and I would probably be the last two, because I think Spurp is the most fit, but I am a 3rd degree black belt. I'm a little out of shape, but if we got to throw down, I think I'd stand a pretty decent chance. So
If I had my legs, I could probably also stand a good chance since I was a kickboxer before the incident.
yeah. Spurp is fucking ripped.
He's
Well,
on the chair. Ooh.
All right, moving on.
Yeah, that's right. Cryptix is 6'7". He's huge.
Christian's also really tall, isn't he? I can't remember.
He's 2 meters on the dot.
I don't know what that means. Freedom units, please.
No,
200
he's
centimeters.
exactly 2 meters tall. So if he was any taller, he wouldn't be able to fit under 2 blocks. He'd get blocked out like an Enderman.
Ah, I see. Next question from Arcana. How the hell did you guys find the voice actor for the captain? I know Darkest Dungeon has a pretty interesting story about how they found the VA for the ancestor. Do you guys have a similar story, or did you just find him on a freelance website?
I actually was the one. I believe I was the first one to reach out to him. He did. Skrull did ancestor impressions for people's class mods for like when you would pull them off the stagecoach. So he had a presence in the modding scene already, and we were initially shooting for a female VA to take the role of the captain, as again that contrast to the male ancestor. That was very difficult to find someone we could afford because voice acting is expensive. But
There's a lot
Girl
of
was willing to work pro bono for us, and that is fucking incredible.
yeah, especially considering the amount of work that goes into voicing the ancestor replacement.
Yeah, Skrull's been
Yeah.
fantastic to work with. Like he's hooked us up with a lot of other voice actors as well to handle other voice roles, like minor roles with like with different
The
enemies that do like, the
Gianni
different
for
grunts and
the
whatnot.
good mother.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
been
yeah,
absolutely invaluable.
yeah, yeah.
So, yeah, and then oh yeah, it was just that. Yep. So yeah, Skrull has been absolutely invaluable to the team. BR would not be what it is without him.
Terp moaning. I mean, that's actually not from Skrull. That's from Rhett's connection.
That is from YouTuber Frederick Knudsen
Yeah.
of Down the Rabbit Hole fame.
Yeah, there's some weird credits on our voice acting list. Whoa.
Yeah, because I reached out to Frederick to see if we could get him to play the hurdy-gurdy for the soundtrack. We unfortunately couldn't get as many samples from him as we would have liked, but he did make good contributions. You can thank him for the camping theme being so like suitably emotional as it is. That's his performance on the hurdy-gurdy.
Yeah, and generally, like each of the enemies is like one person or a separate person. So our
Yeah.
credit
Oh,
list
yeah,
for
that's-
those is
a lot
quite
of-
big.
Yeah.
Well, actually, not exactly, because Alrune was like 3 different female voice actors.
Well, yeah, but I think what Snor's saying is like it's almost all enemies that have custom voice lines are like unique. Like a lot of them.
Yes,
there's not
they
like
are.
any. I mean, there's some overlap here and there, but a lot of it's just like, this one person voices this one enemy and whatnot.
Yeah.
Except for me, because before we actually had proper voice actors, I did the Grunt, the Commander, the Pilgrim Levy, the Mendicant Friar, and I voiced all of the vendor curios. Because again, we just didn't have
Yeah.
better options at the time.
Then contacts.
Yeah. Next question. Why was the idea behind giving Jester the skill Prelude? Are any of the current heroes getting any significant balance changes at one point? Okay, so I think they're asking like, why did we give Jester Prelude? And yeah, is there any more like significant balance changes like that? I guess.
'Cause
My
Harvest is shit.
reason because he has 2 skills that was almost the same, but one was worse than the other.
I mean, yeah, that's most of it. I think it's also, I remember Rhett in particular was really pushing for like more frontline Jester viability, and yeah, we decided to follow up on that.
I
with
also
Prelude.
gave idea that we can disable skills after prep run.
Yeah, that's true, and that was kind of like the how it all came together with the prep.
Yeah,
round.
and if you wanted to build frontline Jester, your only prep round option would be to start in the back and use solo, which you can still do, but it really didn't lend to it very well. So yeah, Prelude, getting rid of Harvest, which was shit, and replacing it with something more interesting was pretty much the main reason.
Yeah.
It also looks cool.
Yeah, to answer the other part of that
Yeah.
question, like, are any of the current heroes getting significant balance changes? I don't know. I mean, there are definitely
At the
some
moment,
balance
no.
changes being thrown around on internal. I don't know how significant I'd say they are.
Yeah, nothing
I don't-
major.
Yeah.
There
no-
won't be any skill change that is completely different, new animation or something completely new skills.
Exactly.
Heroes who
Nothing-
get it, but nothing else. It won't be a new scavenge for other heroes or something.
Exactly.
Dredge isn't for me, but other than that, I think I kind of love playing all of the other heroes. Hellions still a little boring for me, but other than that, like my biggest issue with Crusader is that I can never decide what skills to take because they all rule.
It's a good problem to have.
Mm-hmm.
It's like the Musk problem. Musk has 5 move slot syndrome real bad.
Mm-hmm.
Alright, next question. Hello, this is by Ein Ice. Hello, I'd like to ask about the design choice on trinkets. Lower rarity
Oh,
trinkets
God.
are relevant even into the late game, and Twilight ones apply a new rule to combat. What has led to the decision to make them as they are? Additionally, please thoughts on contraband trinkets. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, largely with trinkets.
I can say about Twilight when it comes to do it. So go on,
Okay, yeah.
Seal.
So with trinkets, they were generally designed with the rule of thumb that like higher rarity trinkets are more complicated, but like don't really offer like as maybe not how am I trying to say this? Like the amount of
Rarity
benefit they offer is
makes
about the same, but it's just like
Yeah, the rarity makes the complexity scale, not the usefulness
yeah. So it's like
or the power.
the
Let's
idea
say.
was like
More min-maxy.
yeah, for like really high rarity trinkets, like they could be more useful in more niche situations, whereas like common trinkets or whatever are like just generally good, right? And the idea is, you know, you have to, as difficulty goes up, ramps up, you have to try and work with the niche conditions that the trinkets push you towards more. That's not that again. That's just a rule of thumb. I know, like especially as of recent, that's kind of changed. We've definitely tried to make like higher rarity trinkets more valuable, and for some trinkets like Yingolian trinkets or perfumer trinkets, like upgradable ones, like yeah, those are meant to be like significantly stronger than other options at times.
I mean, for the Ngogan, it kinda has to be so that there's a incentive to risk upgrading them.
Exactly.
So like the downside don't scale, but for example, for the perfumer ones, the downsides scale as well as the upside. So there is some decision making whether or not you want to upgrade them. But
Yeah.
generally, we do want people to like use the
Yeah,
system.
and I think overall we've done a pretty good job. I mean, there's still obviously like, you know, it's not perfect, but
And
especially
also
as of
one
recent.
additional thing with the trinkets is that because we made it so that the commons are simple, they don't have any downside. It makes so and also additionally the fact that there is no class commons, they are all classless, makes it so that the early game trinket itemization is much better, easier. You cannot like grief yourself by putting on some specific trinkets.
Yeah, and a big part of that as an extension is, you know, again, like Snore said, you're not going to have a bunch of trinkets for classes you don't have early on, and the other factor is in DD, a lot of these starting trinkets are literally worse than nothing at all. Like the minus speed is super not worth it on like move chance or something like that. They're just new player traps. So we want players to have as much of an advantage early game as they can get, because if you ask any deathless, you know, torchless Blood Moon player, what is the hardest part of the game? The very start, when you have no options and everything is locked. And then as you get more familiar with BR and you understand your hero's kits more and what your enemies bring, then the increased complexity of the trinkets is easier to understand and exploit. You know how they're beneficial and how to apply them. Where, you know, in the early game, that would be like, what am I supposed to do with this? So the increased complexity scales up with your understanding of the game. And if you don't improve your understanding of the game, common trinkets are still right there.
Yeah, that's very well put, Rhett.
In case of Twilight trinkets, their gameplay started because I told to other designers, that I found out new workaround and I can make buffs for entire team or entire enemy team if you wear the trinket. And designers went, that's cool, let's use it.
Yeah.
Originally, they were meant to be Kvarot trinkets, but I was the voice of the reason, and I told there are already Kvarot related stuff, so let's make something different. That's purple went with some Twilight stuff.
Yep. I mean, it lends itself well to the end game.
And then,
Yeah, contraband. Yeah. So
yeah.
contrabands were designed mostly around completely altering the playstyle of a specific hero. Like especially with the class specific ones, they're trying to push you to do something that's usually totally different. And again, that usually would give them like a potentially an entirely different role than they would normally have.
Yeah. I think like the living ammo was the first of like the bigger trinkets that would like alter the skills, and I think that I was the one that came up with it. And like so basically you have it like basically when we were concepting the musketeer and then the trinkets, then I realized that we could make one that would add additional ammo type, and that was like the start of the ones that completely alter the
One sec.
skills of a hero.
Yeah. All right. Real quick, it is getting a little late. I think I am going to put a halt to new questions and the BRMA questions.
It's getting quite late, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm actually thinking I would be tired myself.
Yeah. Thank you
It's
so
been
much.
3 hours.
Yeah. I mean, we're it's all good, but like, yeah, I think
Yeah.
this is probably like we're approaching like the maximum time that I wanted this to be. So we'll stop here. Or we'll finish answering all the other questions, but we're not going to answer anymore.
Yeah.
If I remember correctly, I made just one effect for contraband, if I remember correctly, and it was blight on targets for Jester Setter.
Yeah,
Okay.
I mean, to be fair, that was a really big effect. So
Yes,
Yeah.
it was literally. Seal told me that if I do it myself, it can be added. And
And
Yeah.
so he did.
and so he did
So
it
I
by
did it.
himself. Next question from Auntie. One more. What was the most spectacular fail, either through testing or watching somebody die, to something you've seen in BR?
I think I saw a streamer play just the very first mission, and they were complaining that the game was basically every single design, like tooltip, instructing what to do and what the new mechanics are. It's just very fascinating to see people who just don't read and then complain about things being too complex.
Yeah. Like, this. Gamers don't like to read. When I was starting work on a little novella of mine, an early piece of feedback was, you're kind of over-explaining things. And I'm like, I'm so used to having to explain things to fucking DD players who cannot figure shit out on their own.
Yeah. I mean, to be fair, more complex games or like a more complex overhaul like this isn't for everyone. But
Yeah.
yeah, I have seen that a couple times where it's like people who just really don't like things being different.
Yeah. Or people complaining about a team wipe when it's like, you could have left. You should have left much sooner. But it's like they're complaining, I lost the whole team.
The button is always there.
Yeah.
Yeah. And like the captain and the ancestor have always encouraged you to be like, it's okay to cut your... It's fine. You know?
It's okay.
A setback, but not the end of things.
You cannot learn the
So.
thing you think you know.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Also, on a less mean note, all the different ways people misspell expiated.
Oh yeah, or say it. Yeah, expedited.
Amber Light.
Amber lights. Oh my god.
Yeah. Oh god, it was Amaz who said every resource wrong, and not by intention. I remember that very clearly.
To be honest, I cannot pronounce majority of words used in BR, so
Yeah, it's tricky. We do use some very weird words.
Well, just Hebrew, but like bastardized heavily.
I like your funny
Is-
words, Modman.
I
What is,
bastardized English intentionally. I have no respect to this language.
It was Mokta Savage Jewelry, Valor Masks, and oh yeah, I think he said Amber, right? Because that was some low-hanging fruit.
Yeah. All right.
The most annoying part was definitely watching us people using normal attack skills on prep round over and over.
Well, again, to be fair, I think a lot of times when people do that, it's just because they're used to base DD, you know. But
Mhm.
I have seen some people say that like, oh, attacking on prep round is just what you're supposed to do, and that's like, oh man, you're missing the point. You're missing the point.
Yeah.
Ah.
Yeah, no,
It's in
like
the name. Prep.
Unga Bunga Prep Round Smash is like a completely viable strategy. It's just the least consistent.
Yeah. That's a good way of
You
putting
have
it.
to work for it.
All right. Next question. By Giant Dwarf. How did the cactinids come to be? I love the things. Assuming you can talk about it. Otherwise, any part of them that you had to sadly cut.
Is that lore-wise?
I think lore wise, how did the cactinids come to be? Like, is that something we can talk about?
The valley is just so evil and full of eldritch horror that the plant life just started mutating. Unfortunately, it's not that much more complex than that. Is the plant life just adjusted to, how awful the valley is?
Evil plant mimics.
Very similar to
apparently-
fungals from the base game, but kind of with a twist. But they masquerade as other things other than humans in the game.
Yeah, your
Most
pitcher
stuff we have
plant
to
or your
cook,
Venus
cut.
flytrap.
We could not make new cactonids for higher difficulties because they exist as a curio.
Yeah.
You cannot add curios.
And
on
you
per
can't have
difficulty
different
basis.
curios per difficulty.
Yeah.
It's
Also-
totally bullshit.
Fun fact: cactuses are not actually native to the Middle East. They're invasive.
No,
That's true.
No, not true. Am I lying
They
through my
they are
teeth?
from America.
Yeah.
In other words, Middle East in the America. So BR takes place in Texas.
It's true. You heard it first.
Ah!
I don't know. With how much the wildlife is trying to kill you, I would have assumed it was Australia.
Or,
That would make a lot of
wait,
sense,
what,
too.
what was the state with the alligators?
That's Florida.
Florida.
Yeah.
Yeah, Florida. That's kind of like
That's the
Trojan.
Crimson Court, where the mosquitoes are trying to kill you.
And the alligator.
You ain't from
Yeah.
Florida if you've never done this before.
Picture of Crimson Court.
Licking fingers in the light.
Ancestor is actually just Florida man.
Explains a lot. All right.
Checks out.
Next question. It's from John Reliquary. Favorite off meta way to play a hero? DPS anti, melt spam hexer, etc.
What do you mean DPS anti isn't meta?
I mean, like in really high difficulties, it's not as good as.
I know, I'm memeing.
Oh,
I'm
okay,
memeing.
okay. I couldn't tell. Off meta way. It's a little tricky. I think bonk vessel's not that bad. Even without bloodlust, I know a lot of people really like a lot of people just use her with bloodlust, but I think she can kind of work without it.
Yeah.
It definitely.
Now that the Hand of Light is a skill.
Yeah, I definitely think like a later game it's a little harder to do, but like you can run it pretty easily, especially in the early game.
Similar answer here, but Faithless Vestal. You can get some cool stuff going with Faithless Vestal, especially like with Dissonant Relic as your prep move.
And
And
Rictus.
then you follow up with Hand of Light.
Or
Yeah,
Gold
you
Plague.
you could combo with Rictus too. Yeah, that's interesting. Snore, do you have any off meta
I'm not
ways?
sure if I would call it off meta, but I like stacking as much stress resist on my NT, so I can just spam the scavenge all the time. go to caverns, long run, get some like chips, something to drink, and just relax, spam the button for like 5 hours and come out with the full inventory of the minor relics.
Bro is min-max brained.
Yeah.
Sauce and Spurp, do you have any like off-meta ways to play?
I would say
don't
Bunk West
think
is
my-
my favorite.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sauce, did you say something?
I don't have any, or at least I don't think I have. I liked playing with Grave Robber because I don't think classes have to be the most OP things in the world. She was good enough.
How many people do you use Private Reserve? Because that might be my actual answer.
I know a lot of people don't like it just because of the accuracy cutting. But
Yeah.
I don't know. I think I've heard at least of a couple people using it.
Yeah.
It is funny.
You gotta compensate for it, but oh my god, does it pay off? Jibbed.
Private Reserve is
Play against Exo.
I'm sorry, what was the question?
we were
Your
just talking
favorite
about.
off-meta way to play any of the classes.
I mean, Gibbs said earlier that he hasn't really played the game outside of just doing testing. So
Yeah,
Oh,
not
I'm
doing VR, and the little what I have played of Darkest Dungeon was many years ago. So
yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
But yeah, Private Reserve it's a trinket that increases your crit by a lot, reduces your accuracy, and then on crit it shuffles you around and gives you a stumble. Yeah, so it's really good for chaining together lunges. It's not consistent, but it's a way you can do it. Yeah, let's go lunging.
It does go back into the lunge bot build, which isn't super interesting, but it's a really fun way to do it. So,
Well, yeah, it lets you not run Shadow Fade, although Shadow Fade is probably still the most like reliable way to set up lunge.
Well, I mean, if you get shuffled to the front, like you shuffle and then stumble to the front and you can't use lunge, you'd kind of need it.
No, I don't think so, because if you get shuffled to the front, you'll still have a stumble on. Or I guess that's what you meant. Like you get stumbled.
Yeah.
you get stumbled to the front. Yeah.
So.
Valid.
Shuffle bonk, very fun though.
Alright, moving on. This is from Inky Bone.
Last question.
He said someone already answered the same
Bone,
question.
yeah.
Next question then, from John Reliquary again. Any chance the new modding tools will fix the bug, whereas special diseases, other icons such as Osfinger rank from Cryptix's monitor mod, start overlapping into another when there are too many? Oh yeah, the duplication thing.
Or like the skill bar overlap thing.
Yeah. I think the only thing I can say about that is we are looking at fixing a lot of bugs, and that's one of them. I can't promise anything, but that is one of the things we want to look at. And then
Can you show us some of your favorite? Sorry, Sil.
no, you're good. Yeah, can you show us some of your favorite jokes or shit posts from the devs chat? Eyes emoji. Do we have anything on hand? I know the best thing I can think of
I
is
am
prepared, though it's gonna be...
I was pasting some of them already in the meanwhile, but
yeah. Okay, it's still there.
We have
some of them are.
Is it just a whole bunch of them?
No, this
oh,
is the Flash.
Oh, I
I love it
that.
so much.
That is a really good one.
Oh.
What about the Jesus?
Jesus, yeah, post Jesus. I don't think we don't have it on this server. Let me see if I can find it.
Oh,
I don't even have it on my
the
map right
time,
now.
or the time when we had the Among Us
Jesus.
profile pictures, and then Sid was on the only one without it, and we just had the mirror like 5 guys, and then Sid on the couch.
Oh yeah, that was back when everyone had like the Among Us PFPs done by different artists. Where's the Does anyone have the Yingolians falling from the sky with like the captain looking out for the Eclipse mission?
I think it's even pinned in like the discussion
It's pinned in
or
discussion.
somewhere. Like,
check,
not
yeah,
in the
check
I
public
don't have
discussion.
this.
There's a couple. We have a couple goofy ones.
This
Yeah,
one
that's. I mean, that's the like progenitor to it.
Yeah, the art discussion channel always has a few good images sitting around.
There are a couple good ones in there.
Or the one from the when we had the image with the team down, there was one with the Skrull and the Zap and G,
Zap and G, yeah.
I think. Yeah. Let me just screenshot it.
Yeah, if you can grab them, that'd be good.
Yeah. Those are the highlights.
My favorite stuff is the sticker we use when
Seal.
Steel is fucking up something.
Oh, you can grab that, yeah, if you want to grab it.
Can somebody grab it? I don't know how to do it.
I don't want to. I'm recording right now, so I don't want to look at the other server.
Oh, yeah.
I'm gonna look for original picture because I cannot copy it in high quality.
Have we shown publicly the whoops can't show that in a Christian manga image?
Yeah, that was
the
I think it was a
Patreon.
part of a Patreon sketch. But yeah, you can post it here if
Yes,
you
but
want.
no.
Yeah.
But should we post it since it's Patreon sketch?
All the Patreon sketches are public. That's something we changed.
Oh, that's not
Okay.
the link that I grabbed. Shut up.
And here's the Seal one.
All right.
Yeah.
Enough memes. We got questions to answer. Rather, we have one more question to answer.
I was gonna say.
Last question. What kind of play style was BR designed to push players towards? That's a good question.
Anything besides Alpha Strike, but we still allow you to try that.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of true. I think.
Technically, yes.
Oh, go on. I'll finish my thought after.
Technically, yes. It was just to make it not hit the stressor at back, then at damage dealer, and then the tank over and over again. Anything but that.
Valid.
And I think also the idea is that to make a lot, like many things, viable, as long as you like put effort into preparation and setup.
Yeah, we did want to have more build variety. I will say, like, as difficulties, like, especially now since we're looking at 1.0 and, like, the end game, as difficulty is ramping up a bit, I think it's definitely favored more, like, balanced teams, I guess, would be the way you say it. It's like teams with, like, a dedicated tank, dedicated damage dealer, dedicated healer.
Think teams that are more rounded and flexible.
Yeah,
like if
exactly.
you have a blind spot in your build, you better understand that blind spot is gonna get hammered.
Yeah, that's more with like the difficult content, like the really difficult content. And I think even then you can still make some builds work, like some focus builds work. It's definitely harder though.
Is it over?
I think it's over. We're done. We did it.
It's so over.
I tell to myself, wonderful world.
3 hours and 40 minutes. We did it.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. No, I'm really glad to do something like this again. It's been a while.
What do you mean
since we had our
release?
last
You can
VOD.
leave at any point.
Yeah.
Doesn't
last
apply to
VOD.
us.
I want to say we'll do something like this again.
EP.
Maybe like when we have more stuff to talk about with like modding tools.
Maybe when we will have 1.0 released, like that one guy asked.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah. I could see that maybe working.
It'll be the night before launch party.
Yeah. That would be fun too. It would be fun to
And
do.
then we will have launch release issues and it will have to be
Yeah, we'll have to
extended.
spend. Yeah, we'll have to cancel the meeting and go fix everything. Yeah, yeah, I could see that happening.
Yeah.
Good stuff. Good
Thanks.
stuff. Yeah, thanks to everyone that sent us questions. It was really fun to answer everything and go over
Yeah.
everyone's intrigues. And yeah, thanks to the 5 other guys here for setting aside some time to answer questions.
Yeah.
I
You're
thank 4 other guys besides Seal
Oh, what?
for being around me. I thank Seal separately. Thank
Okay.
Seal.
Oh,
Yeah.
All right. And yeah,
Because
that'll
that
do
one's
it.
a requirement.
We'll close out the stage. Y'all have a good one.
Bye-bye.
we will
Take care.
see you later.
Yep, we'll seal.
See you later.
I hate it here, man.
Bye, forget time.
Adios.
Bye-bye.
Do widzenia.